editor and make a cool little clip with the effects going through the back window, but not the car.
Which editor are you using?
I use, for videos, I use the HitFilm Express 14, just the free version.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
But yeah, I'm just killing time messing around with this while I was waiting for the meeting. I wasn't expecting you to hop on this early, but
Oh, I just like to open it up just in case. No?
so what have you been up to today?
Oh, wow. I took my kids skateboarding. We go really early in the morning to try to beat the crowds.
So what have you been up to today?
Oops, hang on a second. I got to
Oh
bounce.
wow,
I took my kids skateboarding. We go really early. I had to turn off I had to mute my YouTube. I was looking at my computer. It seems like it's running a little slow.
What does it look like?
Well, we went to a skateboard park. I flew the drone. I have a drone, so I flew that a little bit, trying to make an image with that. What else? That's about it. Made some breakfast. Talking on the phone to a few people about this. Some people couldn't make it. One person sent me the image that she worked on. So I'm going to share that for her.
Cool. Yeah, my computer's been acting up, and the internet too lately has been kind of weird.
Been kind of slow.
Yeah.
Have you been playing with any did you get anything back from your the stuff you had sent out?
Yeah, I got back that first roll through the Pentex, and another of the rolls through the Minolta SRT 100.
Yeah. How did it come out?
The Pentex was definitely different, and it was definitely Fujifilm.
Oh, right. Had those characteristics.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different with that one. It seemed like it was a lot more susceptible than the Minolta lenses as far as pointing toward the sun. It seemed to wash out a lot easier on the Pentex.
That's cool. I played with. I shared with you guys that box of stuff I got, and so there's this wonderful 58 millimeter Rocore Minolta lens in there. I put that on a Fuji, I think it's XT30, and man, it was just amazing the images that combination made. It was like maybe because that glass, maybe the way that it's coated or something. It was just astounding. Like it literally looked like film pictures. So I've been looking at that whole thing of as far as I wonder if there's a way I could shoot skateboarding with a similar setup, and I'm trying to find wide Zeiss glass or something equivalent, and to combine that with the Fuji systems to get some kind of a skateboarding setup. So no luck so far.
Yeah.
That's what I've been kind of chasing that.
Yeah, with some of these projects that I'm doing, the YouTube stuff, it's really disappointing. My computer keeps giving me issues when I'm trying to do stuff in the videos. So I have to basically ditch all the creative stuff that I'm doing with it and just go back to basics. And yesterday, it ended up taking me all day to do my last video because I realized I've been on YouTube for 10 years. So I threw together a short video and it ended up being just kind of meh, I guess.
Oh,
um,
really?
I had a lot of ideas into it, and it just kept having issues and errors, and I had to keep restarting my computer because it would stress it out too much. And so I ditched a lot of the stuff. The actual, end result is kind of disappointing in light of, behind the scenes what I was trying to get done with it. But
Yeah.
what ended up happening was I had to section it out and export 30 seconds of the video at a time, even with all
Wow.
the other stuff removed. I still had to
Yeah.
do it that way. And then I had to restart my computer between each export. So it was really,
Wow. Wow.
it was really dumb.
That's frustrating. I went through similar with audio, and I bought things, and I bought a second system, and in my case, it turned out to be a lot about the hard drive. I had bought a really nice hard drive. I can't remember what kind it is. What is it? Is it here? Oh yeah. I thought maybe this would have helped. This what is this G drive? It's one of these probably 7,200 RPM external thing, and it didn't really help. So ultimately, what happened is I have a solid state drive built on both my systems, and I moved the project over to the solid state drive, and it was just night and day. Like it my CPU readings went from 80 down to like 5. And so for me anyways, with this was audio. It seems like the hard drive made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I do video, not as much as you do, but I use Premiere. And if I'm doing a really long video in Premiere, it takes a long time to render that sucker.
Yeah. I haven't even done, the potential of this program. There's a lot of features in it already. I haven't
Yeah,
spent the money on the pro version, but there's so many features that I can't even mess with because my computer won't handle it, and it's really annoying.
right. Yeah, sometimes it comes down to hardware.
I'm gonna have to try to manage this the audio for speaking, just using the hold the space bar to talk because the puppies are getting loud.
Your auto, like an auto mute.
Yeah, it's on auto mute, so I have to hold the space bar to talk. And every time I click out of the window, it won't do anything.
Right.
I'm also trying something different. I left I was using it earlier on the camera. I left the polarizer filter on to try to get rid of
Hmm.
some of the screen glare in my glasses. and it's working
Okay.
a little bit. It did darken it, but didn't completely get rid of it.
Hmm.
And I recently got a second screen, just a used screen. It's a smaller widescreen, and I got it mainly for the video editing because of being widescreen. It does help with, uh, the timeline editing.
Right. Hey, David.
Hi.
David, what's up?
Not much. This is about what I expected. 3 people.
What
Get my light going. Boom.
have you been doing, David?
Well, I've realized that we had our thing due today, so I got up at the bright and bushy hour at 3 a.m. and did a photograph. So,
Love it.
why wait or why not wait until the last second, like everything else?
Yeah, you're an artist.
Join the club. I only had 2 pictures that I took a few days ago, and then I had the other projects take up my time, so I ended up doing it this morning too.
Nice. Well, let's see what bullshit we have, huh?
Okay.
Are we gonna wait for other people, or because I think some people are gonna come?
Just give them a little time. It's only 1:03.
So, did we say 1 o'clock before? Because
Probably
I had
not.
it in my head 11.
Yeah, I think other people had 10 or 11.
Okay. I actually got a couple
I
texts. That's why I was curious.
Yeah. It said it on the thing that I put. I don't know. It wasn't on the flyer, was it? Did you put a time on the flyer? I don't believe you did.
No.
If you did, I screwed it up. I totally screwed
Nope,
it
I
up.
did not.
Okay.
I'm still saying you screwed up, but I did put a time on the flyer.
I'll take that. I'll take the fall completely. So did you have any, epiphanies making this image?
Epiphanies? No.
No.
I just
You do
completely
this all
went
the time.
into I completely went into autopilot and just
You did.
let the art flow through me, so to speak.
Ah, we're not going to go there, are we?
I'm sure we will to a degree.
Star Wars?
Star Wars? No, we're not going to go to Star Wars. I hope not. Ignore my shirt.
How's
We always
the
go to
art
Star Wars.
going? How's the art going for all you guys? You making art? Is it any easier now than before? Or I don't know. For me, I've been shooting a little more lately. How about you guys? At all? Anything flowing? No.
For the most part, I've been sticking to kind of just trying to do the preliminaries storyboard wise of what I want to do with my YouTube channel, and trying to get a little bit more professional on the production quality is hard with this computer. So I've been looking around trying to find a used laptop that will work better for me. Everything's out of my budget though.
So what
Yeah,
are you?
right now, technology is scarce and expensive.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like I could get a better, like a gaming laptop. I found one that would do much better just because of the graphics card as far as the video editing, but it was from 2015, and it's got stickers all over it. It's been beat up. The case is cracked in a couple spots, and I just don't want to do that.
Wow, what were they doing on that thing?
I think probably just gaming parties. I mean, it looked like there was probably a bunch of Doritos residue all over the keys and stuff too.
Well, that's what they
We
said.
never know. That might be some good mojo.
So what is your YouTube channel that you're working on?
Right now, it's just my personal channel. I've just been kind of branching out with different things that I do. Throw some different stuff up there. It's got my music videos. It's got my hobby stuff basically for now.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is because you said you're trying to develop it to you're trying to figure out your voice, I guess, for it. And
not so much. I mean, I'm kind of, a lot of places are like, don't create a website until you have your niche for a photographer. And
Mhm.
with YouTube, it's the same way. It's like if you don't have a niche, you won't have that specific audience that wants that niche. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you know, that's one of the things about me and my work that is going to appeal to someone down the line is that I can do a little bit of everything, you know. One of the projects that I have that I'm trying to put together is kind of a short documentary of my photography and my history with it and where I want to go with it. And putting that video together just on the preliminary side before I even start shooting anything is proving difficult. And I also, earlier today, I was like going through some music and whatnot for it and just thinking, you know, maybe I should do the soundtrack completely myself as well because it's kind of a brand video type of thing. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
That's a lot. That's a lot to do.
It is a lot. I mean, just going through, you know, highlights of specific points I want to make and talking about specific cameras, or if I want to do the typical slideshow thing where I just feature my work, or if I want to make it more cinematic and just have, you know, footage for the most part with voiceover and then a little bit of, you know, headshot interaction, talking head stuff, or how I want to put it together. It's still in the just beginning stages. So I have 3 different approaches that I have listed down.
So I'm curious. Do you feel that you handling every aspect of your own documentary advertising yourself is an advantage or a disadvantage by not getting somebody else's perspective or somebody else's voice about your work?
It's more geared toward basically a mission statement type of documentary. Like, just this is where I'm coming from with my photography. This is where I want to go with it. It's not so much just a showcase where, you know, people talk about how something that I did impacted them. That might be a follow-up idea. You
So
know, I have several.
I'm going to sit down and watch 2 hours, and I'm going to come out of it and say, "Oh, well, he's doing it for this reason." Is that what?
No, it'll be I'm thinking it'll be, you know, 30 minutes maybe. But it'll just be like a mission statement, or like you know, this is how I developed and this is where I'm going with it type of documentary where I'm just kind of featuring like the fact that I've traveled places and that I have experience with several different types of photography, and that um, you know, it's going somewhere after 7 years.
Okay.
That's cool.
How about you, Ken? Are you going to do a documentary on yourself?
No, you know, I've been making a lot of music lately. I wrote a bunch of music last year, and I sent it to my friend Joey, and he's a guitar player, singer. And we used to have a band. We had a band for like years, you know. And he finally sent something back the other day. It was just really amazing. It was so good. What was interesting about it is that we haven't wrote music together in maybe 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that it it still progressed somehow. It still sounded like we'd been playing that whole time, which was really odd. But I think what happened was in our minds we were kind of continuing our thoughts about what music is and however that evolves, and it kind of shows in the end product. It came out good. So I've been doing a lot of music, some film, you know. The latest thing I was telling Shiloh about is I've been somebody gave me a bunch of a friend of mine, Anthony Garcia, gave me a ton of Minolta and Vivitar glass, and there's this one just amazing Minolta lens. It's a 58 millimeter lens. It's, you know, I put it on a Fujifilm. I think it's an XT30, and God, it was so beautiful, David. Like, something that you might relate to is that looking through the thing in the live view, because it's a digital body, it looked like you're looking through a film camera, like somebody could make a film with this camera. You know, it's just, you know how that old glasses, it had such, there's not a lot of coating on there, and it just,
Mhm.
I don't know, it just has that character.
Hmm.
And so that was such a bummer, because now I'm like, oh man, do I have to go find a fucking, you know, Zeiss fisheye and spend what? What are they? $3,000, $2,000,
Well,
ten
it
thousand
depends
dollars?
on
What
how
are they?
fishy you want that eye.
I mean, I like, you know, I shoot all my skating with crops, so then I got to go buy a Fuji, another body, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Well, I mean,
meanwhile,
that's
yeah,
kind of how this is. The technology just never ends, you know? As soon as you're really happy with your setup, the next best thing comes out.
yeah, I like that old glass, but I can't run that old glass so easily on my Nikons,
Hmm.
because apparently the Nikon, the size of the thing. So if you get a converter, it has this little thing in there, this little piece of glass in it that, you don't know if it shrinks it or makes it bigger. But
Mhm.
right there, you screwed up your whole. Why have some, you know, $1,000 piece of glass when you have this little crappy, you know?
You say
So
that, but
yeah,
I've seen the converters are getting a lot better nowadays.
are they?
And they're almost, it's almost, it adds its own personality to it by running it through
That's
a
a good
converter.
point. That's a
So,
good point. Maybe I should try it.
Yeah,
I mean, you might
a
as
lot
well.
of people are
Stuff.
having quite a bit of success with the converters and the old glass. Specifically, a lot of Sony mirrorless users are looking for old Minolta glass, and they're getting amazing results from that.
I
So
can
there you
see
go,
why.
kid. Join the Sony.
Well, you know, I just like the way that those Fujis render, but the problem is they don't make a full frame. They only make the crop, or the, you know, the, what is it, the $10,000 whatever frame, you know, the
Mhm.
medium.
The Fuji
And
frame.
yeah, Fujifilm. I like the way they render.
Well, sometimes the crop sensors do help, though, especially with having extra space um, with the lenses and whatnot, because it does take that center image. So you get
Right.
rid of some of the attributes of using old glass or converters or adapters.
Some of the fringing, and yeah, I could see that. I'm just bummed out. I didn't want to be chasing technology. I just can't stand chasing glass.
You gotta chase something.
What are you chasing? What is this diagram I saw? It looks like some diabolical scientist's plan to like build Frankenstein or something. What is that? What are you making?
I have no idea what you're referring to.
You put something up on your Instagram. It says that this is something that I'm
Oh, well,
working on.
that was part of my photo that I'm going to show you today.
Oh, cool.
That was a part of the props, actually. One
So
second.
you
I'm going to give
actually,
info to
like,
somebody who's looking to get in.
okay.
1 second, real quick. I'm sure you're used
Lori,
to
can
dead air.
you hear us, Lori?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? I'm happy you're here. Did you have a second sort of thought about bringing your
Um,
photo up?
Well, I don't want to bring my photo up because I think it's really boring, and but I'm here to learn. So
Oh, cool.
I'm just
We haven't seen
inspired
my
by
photo
your...
yet. Maybe after you see mine, you'll bring yours up.
No, mine's really boring. In fact, I deleted them, so I can't bring it
Oh
up.
no.
But and yeah, I had some other ideas, but I couldn't really get to them. But anyway, so I'm here to be inspired and to learn. And yeah, so anyway, thanks for putting this on. I
You said
appreciate it.
that you were talking about how you it helped you maybe start to think maybe you're going to do some portrait stuff or something.
Absolutely. I love portrait photography. I would love to be really good at it. And so, yes, it's inspired me to dive into that. And yeah, finally get a little serious about it. So not too serious though, because we want to always have fun, right?
Exactly. Do you know David and Shiloh?
I don't. So
okay, so
nice
Lori's
We don't know each other either.
Lori's a skateboard photographer. I see her many times out on the the deck of a contest or event, and so and where do you live, Lori? Where do you live? Up north?
I'm
right?
in Santa Cruz, California. So
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Shiloh. This is David.
Hi, Shiloh. Hi, David.
And the
Nice
personless person is Will.
Yeah, Will's coming in. We don't have a voice on him yet, but
Well, I guess probably the best place to start then would be to define what a portrait means to you. Like what qualities you look for in a portrait before you remove a person. Just a thought. So I guess
That's a good.
What?
taking it
Say
further
that
then.
again, because
That's
I have this,
interesting.
I have this
Mhm.
COVID. I have kind of a COVID haze, and so I'm not cognating, exactly on a level that you might be. So what is it? What are we
Well, I've been
looking
up for
again?
18 hours, so I'm kind of in that weird high where everything's a little dreamy right now. Um, so I guess the best place to start, in my opinion, would be defining what a portrait is. And to me, a portrait is a reflection of the person that you're taking it of.
Mhm.
So you're trying to capture some sort of uniqueness of that person. And I think Ken and I, even every time we get together, we always talk about this and the reflection of what your portrait says about you as a photographer versus what it's saying about the subject, and like where you find this kind of meeting place to
Right.
to make art out of it,
Right.
because you can see several pictures of the same person, several portraits of the same person, and they look all completely different because there's always that element of the photographer being put into it.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I guess I will go first then. With that being said, I didn't even pay attention to see if I have it on available. Let me double check real quick if I left it where I think I did. Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm going to take control of the screen real quick. Bloop and bloop. There we are. And of course, my picture is now behind where you guys are. There it is. So this is a self-portrait of me and what I've been up to during quarantine. So the idea of this and how I'm interpreting a personalist portrait is I'm trying to give you a sense of me and everything that I have been up to during quarantine without actually showing myself in the photograph.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I like that.
Me
And
too.
so I watched The Shining not too long ago again, and
Nice.
kind of where I got the idea of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Because that's pretty much how I've been feeling. Is I got to do something while I'm stuck in quarantine. I got to make art. I got to do something, and I haven't. This is probably the first attempt at it. However, if you look into this picture, you see I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of prestige comic book collecting,
Yeah.
video game playing, writing, baking. I've been baking a lot of bread, and I actually have a motor to a fan that I was taking apart because I've been doing some repairs around the house too, in there, and that has basically been my time. And then of course we have the bare ass on the side because it's got to have a little bit of, I guess, cheekiness, for lack of a better term.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Pun completely intended. And I've also been attempting to read Dune for the first time since I was a kid and did not understand it. I didn't realize how much of a homophobe that Frank Herbert is, and so I'm also dealing with reading that and separating the artist from the art, and that's coming up a lot, I think, in modern society and with the Me Too movement and everything. So there's my photo.
Well, I love that. I mean, that's what I was trying to wrap my mind around, but I couldn't quite do it. So that really helps me as far as capturing who you are without putting you in the picture, putting your face in the picture. So that's awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I love it.
I think the bite out of
Are you selling Animal Crossing objects on the black market, David?
No, but I have made a couple of purchases on the black market.
And what kind of food is that right there? Those are the two things that caught my eye.
That is banana bread.
That's what I
Oh,
was
man.
wondering too.
That is a staple to any quarantine household right now.
That is a great idea.
Mine would be an acai bowl. I've been eating so many.
That sounds delicious and way more complex than just throwing squashed bananas into an oven.
I love that. I love the food. I when I bought this shirt, you know, it's much larger. I don't know what happened, but 5 months. Maybe I'm using hot water. Okay, here got some other people come in. I think some people had the wrong link. There's Grace. I didn't think Grace.
I think the bite out of the cake helps put the person in this personless portrait.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that could do that would be if the pen was on the pad.
Well, if you notice, I tried to kind of line up to the edge where it's like where I just recently did like the most sketchiest part of it, and I have the tip kind of hit there. I did play with it a couple of times on the pad laid out there, and it didn't look quite right. Same with the bread without the bite. I mean, that was me basically eating it as I'm taking the picture.
Right.
Sounds like Grace is in traffic.
I am. I'm driving to a curry place so I can pick up some Indian food for me and Rob.
Rab. She's in a hurry for curry.
I'm getting tech support right now. If someone can send this link to Rob, hint, 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 Will, hint, hint, hint. Text message.
I just barely got the link myself.
I got it. I'm on it.
Yeah. But if you can send it to him, it's easier for me because I'm in a car.
What are you gonna buy? What are you buying at the Indian restaurant, Grace?
Oh, I am getting myself something vegetarian. I don't know, probably eggplant and some aloo gobi, and then Rob wants chicken tikka masala and some goat curry.
Oh, sounds excellent.
So I'm playing tech support today, and you know, Will, you can play tech support too. Just saying.
I don't play tech support. I get paid good money for tech support.
Well, anyhow, that's where I'm going right now. I'm gonna go pick up some curry, and then I'm gonna head to Rob's and take care of his Mac issues.
Bummer. Did somebody take care of Grace's request for?
Yes, I sent it to Rob.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if he has my number, but I have his.
Yeah, that should be good enough.
So, all right.
Awesome.
So I guess I should stop sharing and let somebody else go, or should I just keep this as the background?
I have two of them. I have one of mine, and I have one of somebody that couldn't make it here. So.
Oh, let's critique somebody who can't defend themselves.
Okay. All right. There we go. I gotta
Share
find
mine.
it.
So, David, I kind of did the same thing you did. It was basically my desk. That's my life these days.
Oh, that wasn't my desk. That was my set made up to look like my desk. I'm a photographer. I work in studio.
Oh my God, that's so badass.
So this is from Veronica.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's she wanted to be here, but I think she's still working. She got stuck working. And she is X_Veronica with a K _X on Instagram. She's like she's a musician, and she takes pictures, and
She has attitude.
Multifaceted artist. Yeah, and so this is what she said. She sent me some stuff just recently on Instagram. Says this is a character piece modeled around modeled after me for a miniature board game called Wild in the Streets. The game is a death match between different subcultural gangs while trying to complete a particular objective. My character is in the straight edge gang. So in a way, it's a selfless self-portrait.
Mhm.
So did somebody come in? Let me see. Maybe I can't. I wonder if I can add. I'm gonna see if I am I able to add people while I'm. Oh no, it's Frank.
Oh, you can leave them
So
out.
I,
Oh no, it's Frank.
I'm gonna give a little. I'm gonna do a little deputizing here, in case. So David, you have a little co-hosting.
Got it. I will keep
Yeah.
a vigil.
So she's saying, in a way, it's a selfless self-portrait. And she just asked if we'll be recording it or whatever. So what do you think?
For it being a miniature like that, it has a lot of attitude. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with her game piece in the game at all. Makes me want to see what some of the other game pieces look like.
Yeah.
So I mean, technically speaking, it's nice. I like the detail. I like the shallowness of the depth of field. I mean,
I'm gonna go get some curry, so I will call you guys back. Bye.
Okay. Bye, Grace.
Bye.
Bye.
It's got a nice color palette to it.
mm-hmm.
It's just very much about the person. That's where I kind of get stuck, is that although it does not have a live person in it, it might as well, because it's all about the person.
Right.
Used in any way to really make it not just about the game piece, which is a person.
Or maybe it would have been interesting to see the game piece in the element of the game.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
what I was thinking too. Or
very presented as a person.
yeah, like it is. I mean, as far as critiquing, the only thing that I really would have said is that if it's just about this game piece, about the person, that one stem that's in front of the bars there in the background, I would have moved that one stem that's got that angle, and then maybe put something else a little bit more in the foreground as far as the leaves or branches or something. But otherwise, giving it more of an environment with the other game pieces or some kind of other prop might have worked better.
Yeah, even if it was just, falling out of depth too, it would have been. I don't know. It feels out of place just being alone like that to me.
But then again, maybe it's symbolic of something. Just being alone like that. I don't know.
Right.
It can be, but the fact that you're questioning it, like, it's not conveying the message then, if that's what it is.
Yeah, that's just my thought, is that it either needs to be just a hair more just about this piece, the subject, or it needs to be a little bit more of an environment.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me see.
I'm just sitting back here observing. Sorry, because I mean, I couldn't even think of anything to do. So this is all very interesting. I love, just seeing what came to people's minds. And Is this another one of Veronica's?
This one's mine.
This one is Ken
Oh,
Huss
okay, cool.
signed.
Oh, awesome. Looks like James Dean, is that right?
Wow, that's pretty good because, like it actually is a James Dean doll. And I was actually even going to take him to a place where he was in a movie
Mhm.
in this
Oh, that would
costume,
be,
But then I
that
thought,
would be cool.
he doesn't even look like James Dean to me. His face looks
Oh,
like
it,
there's a show called the Transformers. Those marionettes. Was it the
Mhm.
Transformers? What are they called?
Thunderbird.
No,
Back in
it
Oh,
was
Thunder.
Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
Thunderbirds,
that's
yeah.
right.
And to me, that's what it looks like. It looks like somebody from the Thunderbirds.
Mhm.
But then, so I ended up just shooting him in a. I just tried to find a really old area near where I live, like an old strip mall. And there's this barber shop, and I put him out there, and I think maybe this is some of that glass, one of those pieces of glass that I got from my friend. And I realized that he kind of looks neat in like really old urban settings because, I had friends that their dads had a haircut like this and they lived in areas like this, when I was a kid. Some of my friends, their dads, they had slick because, I'm old.
Hmm.
So it got me thinking about maybe doing more of this type of photo, like taking him to old places and seeing, how he fits in there.
Well,
And
that's cool.
it's shot on old it's expired gold. I think this was gold 400, and it's processed in black and white chemistry. I can't remember the name of the developer. Rodinal. So
I really like the edges and like the holes and how they look like double exposed and stuff, almost like it's a still from a movie or something. It's very cinematic.
do you know
Yeah, it gives it
Mhm.
that
Yes.
old film reel look. Yeah.
Yes.
do you know why that happened, Frank? Because I'm curious as to why that they're so they're protruding into the actual image.
It could be the small I don't know what to call it. The things that actually advance the film could either be like
Mhm.
weathered down so it fell off, or
Oh.
the outer part of like the shutter started to deteriorate, so it's exposing more. But
It
it
did
looks
get
really
an
cool.
error. F100, and it did get an error, on the feed, but it still kept shooting. So I just, and I shot it, and near the middle, the error stopped. But I'm pretty sure this little precarious sprocket thing is going throughout the entire,
Yeah, the sprockets.
24 shots.
Yeah, something's definitely misaligned, and you'll probably never be able to recreate it again. So enjoy it now.
Yeah.
I mean, as a fan of toy photography, I always like it when you could blend the background into making it look like it's the world that they exist in.
Mm.
So, I mean, it makes it more of a portrait by seeing the letters of the building behind him. Like it feels more environmental to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it looks more like John Kennedy to me than James Dean.
See?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Martin Sheen. Looks like Martin Sheen.
Oh, that's actually
Yeah.
pretty good too. I'll go with that.
It's possibly the same head, right? Don't they just take that same head and they put it on the Kennedy?
Wait, isn't it the $6 Million Man?
I thought it was that robot from Terminator 2.
Oh, Grace is back in her car.
We're back in the Grace Wave. Woo!
Yeah. So that's it. That's my little experiment.
Nice. You made him look like
That
people.
was cool.
All right, who's next? God, this is my
Frank?
class, guys.
Frank, are you ready? I've got to let the dogs out real quick, so I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
That was a euphemism, right?
No, he has a bunch of dogs.
All right. Nobody else did the assignment. I feel like this is a class, actually.
I did,
Did you
but
already
I'm
look
not
at
ready
mine?
yet.
Frank's working on it right now.
I don't know.
I'm
I
not
wasn't
ready yet.
around. I was buying Indian food.
All I'm hearing is it wasn't done on time, and therefore you guys automatically got a B-.
I don't know. Did you look at mine?
I only took this as credit, no credit.
Grace, how are we looking at yours? Did you turn it in somewhere?
Frank and both can have it. Both of them.
Yeah.
Have it.
Oh, we
I
have
saw
it.
it. I guess Ken didn't yet.
How do you
But-
how do you share the photos? I'm sorry. I mean,
Oh, you just go on the bottom of your screen. It says share. Oh, you
okay.
got a telephone? A little green.
Yeah, I'm on a phone.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll try to get something ready, but it's like really
That's the
last
spirit.
minute.
That's,
You
no,
might as
that's the
well.
spirit.
Everyone else is still working on their.
Yeah, but this is pretty much, yeah, it'll reflect who I am for sure. Or where my head is all the time. Anyway, let me try to get it going here.
Right. I like this. It's like a workshop and a gallery, at the same time.
You like anything that gets thrown your way, though, Ken. I haven't heard you say you hate this once.
What? I haven't said what?
You have never said I hate this. So you just.
Oh, I hate so many things. Believe me, I hate so many.
Oh, see, now we're getting somewhere.
Yes. Yes, I agree with David. We're getting somewhere.
So let me put on my emperor hood, and you can tell me all about your hatred, and I will be saying good, good.
Agreed. I will be there. I will put on some sort of outfit too.
Trying to get Grace's photo into the this Zoom. Let's see.
I wonder if I can share mine. Hang on. Let me see if I can try this. I've never tried it on a phone.
Don't crash your car, Grace.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
Is this working?
Yes.
Oh wow, yeah, it is faster than me.
Okay. So that's just like daily for me.
Yeah, that just looks like
Everyday
you stepped out of
environment.
your house. I've seen that shot before.
I know it's basically how I spend 90% of my days these days. I am on my desktop watching YouTube videos, and I'm on my laptop just doing other work.
It's so clean, Grace.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say it's a whole lot cleaner than my workspace for sure.
I do this almost every day. I have to clean it, or else it looks like an insane mess.
The trash is just stacked outside of the frame.
It is. There is like
All of
there's a
plastic
couple
bags.
things outside of frame, but not much.
What did you take this on?
Oh, my iPhone.
Is that the iPhone with the multiple lenses? It looks like it's a pretty wide one.
Yeah, this is an iPhone 11 and it's taken with a wide angle camera.
Cheater.
That is
I-
not cheating. That's
I really
just
like it
using
with
a
the wide angle.
lens, fucker.
I only say that because I'm jealous.
Anyway, let me unshare this. There we go.
I like that.
What did you use like a filter or an app to
I
make it black and white?
use Snapseed to just convert it to black and white, and I had to add a little extra contrast, but that's
Mhm.
about it.
Nice.
But yeah,
I
that is like my daily life now. That is me almost every day now.
So Okay, my thought looking at it is you're trying to make it like it's your daily life, but you're removing yourself from it.
It
So-
it depends on the hour.
But that's what I'm saying. You're saying if this is 90% of your life, then this photo now represents 10% of your life when you're not there because you're not in the photo.
It's mostly
The
me.
personless
It's
portrait.
like my notebook is there, my laptop is there, my computer's there. My computer is there for me to,
But
watch
you're saying
YouTube
you're usually
videos.
there 90% of the time.
It is, and the assignment is portraitless persons.
I know.
or
So to me,
whatever.
it doesn't feel like that because it feels like if this shot is with you in it 90% of the time, by you taking yourself out of it, it like kind of defeats the purpose of the shot. Like,
Just
yes,
imagine
a
it's
person's
me going to
portrait,
get lunch.
but does anyone else see what I'm saying?
I know what you mean, but I mean, like, the only difference would be me in it.
Well, I think that's part of the assignment. The challenge behind the assignment was to take yourself out of the portrait, or take a person out of the portrait.
But
So the
still have
subject.
a portrait within there.
It is me. This is my life at this point. Like, I actually, what you don't see is that I actually have hang on, Rob's on the other line. Let me answer that. I'll come back to you guys.
Let's talk about Grace's place while she's gone. Is that a telephone I see?
Yes, and it looks like it actually plugs into the wall. How weird.
Yep.
I love
That's
that
official.
into the wall.
It's so clean. It's so tidy.
That's an official office.
Oh,
Once it has that phone, it's an official office.
But it could almost be anybody's office.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's my point too, is it's just like I don't see
Okay.
the personalization of it. It looks too clean, too crisp. You just took a person out, and I can't tell you anything about that person except they might have been in an episode of Brady Bunch where they had a tiki god idol that
And
I
they
think her
know
her
what a bowling pin
glasses.
is.
Someone's off in the living room screaming, "Beaver!"
they bowl. They like to bowl.
I really like the aspect of doing the challenges because it really shows that, the creative side of someone comes from so many different angles, and you can have completely different perspectives of a challenge. What comes to someone's mind is going to be completely different than what comes to your mind, and that's what I really like about it.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Oh, she's back. Everyone be quiet. We were just saying how much we love it, Grace.
Well, I think the fact her glasses are in there kind of give it a
There
signature
we go.
of
Now I
it
can.
being her,
That's a good
along with
point.
a little bit of
That's a good
personalization on the top. And the fact that the glasses, the phone, and the camera, which is also hers to represent Grace, like kind of point to the empty seat. So it kind of
Okay,
brings
well-
attention to it.
Okay, to play
But
devil's
I-
advocate there.
I
Knowing
understand
Grace,
the not the bleakness, but like the mundane kind of desk that you could see a lot of the desk, and it's not a personalized desk. It's not a personalized.
okay, also,
Everything.
Grace, the way you do Frank, what's the one thing that's missing?
Her.
No. The half bottle of wine.
Alcohol?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Those-
it's there. If you look really carefully,
implied.
there's 2 cups on the desk. One desk is water, the other cup is actually beer. If you look really closely.
Okay.
But anyway,
Yeah,
someone
then there you go.
Can someone send a link? Yeah. If someone sends the link and only the link to Rob's text message, can you please do it, because I can't do it easily right now, and Rob really wants to get on this convo.
Okay. Does he not have
Okay.
Zoom? Because I sent him
He
The-
has
the-
Zoom.
he would still need
But-
to enter all the things in to get into the room.
He has Zoom, and I think he's just having, tech problems because of his age.
Do I have his? Let me see if I have his.
I'm calling him.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. So just have Will take care of it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, if you just take a look at the picture carefully, there is beer on that desk in that photo. So I am drinking, I'm working, I'm watching YouTube videos, I am, doing my work at the same time. And all the crap on top is normally just living there.
Well, it's a good personless environmental portrait.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the bowling pin, I'll tell you where it's from. The bowling pin is a trophy I won because I was in a photo as fashion project. And that's what they gave as a trophy because, it was just funny. It was at Cypress College. The 2 trophies are from penmanship. The piggy banks is because I keep different amounts of money in there. There's like a naked lady statue on there that my dad made. So my dad apparently likes naked chicks.
Right.
There's another piggy bank that looks like a monkey. It's from Hawaii. It's from me traveling. There's a clock on there because I got that as a wedding gift one time when I got married back in the day. And then there's like another little thing I got from my video store guy that's like a Hawaiian mask. And I watch a lot of movies and I thought it was cool. And so I kept it on there.
The mask, is that the time you went to Hawaii and your brother Greg entered a surf contest?
Not me. No, we just it's just from the video store guy. The video store guy gave it to us.
The video store guy, Barry Williams.
Yeah. And then I have 2 computers because like one is basically my desktop and I use that to watch videos. Like I watch YouTube all day or like online tutorials all day. And then my laptop is for me actually working. And then I have my notebook to write notes. I have my camera on my desk almost all the time because if I want to take pictures, I just want to be able to grab it and go. And I'm always on my phone. And actually, that is not my real phone. That is my other phone. I used my iPhone 11 to take the photo. The one that's on my desk is my iPhone 6S, which is the one I used previous to that. But there's almost always a phone on my desk.
And the corded phone, is that actually you have a telephone number that you pay?
I do. I pay Spectrum, and I have no idea what the phone number is. I think maybe 5 people have the phone number. Ron Miller is one of those people who have that phone number. And if it rings, I'll pick it up. If not, I pick up my phone.
That's cool.
That makes it an official office if you have a landline.
I do.
That's
I
awesome.
have an official landline. And then on the left of my desk is my Synology, which is a NAS drive that I have. And then I have my little external hard drive there next to it just to back up stuff. And Frank, yes, that is my beer and my water. I have beer and water.
Nice.
And you know why it's in a coffee cup? It's because it keeps it cooler because it's an insulated cup.
Smart.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I have fun. I'm at work. I don't have to go to work like everyone else. Like, I don't have a 9-to-5 job anymore. That's why I haven't gotten a job. It's so I can do this. And here's another thing. You wouldn't want me in the picture because if I was, I'd be in my bra and underwear. And most likely it's just in my panties. It's been hot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It's so different when you explain it.
Maybe one of these days I'll take a picture with me in it just with my back to everything. And you can just see that I'm just sitting there mostly naked working on shit because I can.
I love it. Do you actually use that cork board?
I used to. I don't anymore. It's actually, the cork board is for my vision board. I just haven't printed out my 2020 vision board.
Okay.
I used to just get a whole bunch of pictures, and then I would go to Walmart or Target or wherever I can get 19-cent prints. And I would print everything I was hoping to accomplish for that year, and I would put it on that cork board. But I haven't done it this year because I actually just made a vision board but put it as my desktop wallpaper.
Right. You're so organized. I wish some of that would rub off on me.
It takes work. It takes a lot of work. It has to be done for me every single day.
Is that how you do it? Because I'm sure this is just an excuse. Sometimes I feel like if my desk were this clean, I would forget about what I would originally was trying to set out to do. Because it would take me an hour to get it, or longer. Let's not lie. It's taking longer than an hour.
What it is I do is I just clean it every single night right before I go to bed. And I set it up for the morning. Whatever I'm going to do in the morning, it's ready. So when I wake up, I stumble in, I'm half asleep. I just sit there and I just do whatever I need to do. And then it gets messier throughout the day. And then it gets cleaner by the end of the night.
I like it. So you basically set it up for the next day at the end of the day.
Yeah,
That's
and
nice.
it takes 10 minutes at most these days because it's such a routine now. I mean, it's different if I wasn't when I was working all the time, it was not like this. It was like a mess of a desk. But now that I don't have to work somewhere else every day, it just gets cleaned. That's all.
Right. That's cool. I'm gonna try that. Maybe.
I'm gonna try.
It takes a while. It's just like a diligence.
It's got to be a habit, right? It's got to turn into a habit.
Yeah. And then twice a year, I do a thorough cleaning. So there's a National Clean Your Desk Day sometime in January. And then I do it then. And then sometime in the middle of the year, I'll just do a thorough cleaning too. I'll just spend a couple hours
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea people did these things. That's awesome.
Oh, you should see my fridge. My fridge is a mess.
Is it?
So don't feel
don't feel too bad.
Yeah, don't feel bad. You should see my fridge. My fridge is a mess.
I love it. That's a great picture.
So would you like me to try to share mine? I have no idea how.
Yeah, Lori.
And this is like the kid who's always cutting class, who brings in some sort of assignment that, fulfills assignment at the last minute, I guess. I don't know, except I'm not cutting class. I'm happy to be here. But okay, so I'm gonna hit share content. Is that right?
Or
and then you'll
screen.
see a bunch of little pictures of your stuff.
Oh, photos. Oh God, I hope all my photos don't pop up. Okay.
No, only whatever you want to.
Okay, there it is. See, I'm learning so much right now, believe it or not. So
is that underwater?
That is an underwater shot. So and I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I had some ideas, and I took one and I was like, no, that's just so dumb. And I didn't really know how to do this. So I wanted to come on the chat anyway, just to learn. And I was inspired to, I'm inspired to learn portrait photography because of this. But anyway, cool. So one of the ideas I had was to take I'm really into surfing. Surfing has saved my life over and over again. And so that's where I want to be, is surfing all the time. So what I wanted to do was try to take a wetsuit and throw it up in the air. And because of the skateboard photography, I thought I could get a good picture of it, but I just didn't have time to get to it. So anyway, this I just shot yesterday on my GoPro. So that's where I like to be, is in the water.
Right.
No desk, nothing. Just
I think that's a great photo. That tells a lot.
Yeah.
You know, about you.
That's my last minute attempt. But yeah, I mean, thinking it through, this is kind of been done over and over again, but just to get a shot from the front of my board taking off on a wave or something like that, that would have been, you know, even better. But anyway, so
I love that. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, is that a plant or something in the bottom half?
This is underwater, so you can't see it, but through the water there are kind of these cliffs in the background, and there's a piece of seaweed floating there. So
that is great. That is
it's
so
my favorite
environmental.
beach. Yeah.
The first thing I thought of seeing this was viewing a wave crashing, but from the water up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it just worked out really well to be
Mm-hmm.
exactly that. And like to say that much about how big surfing is in your life. That's really cool.
Well, thanks.
For me, it's really actually a powerful image, because I've been here. Like I feel like there's more going on than just the surf thing. Like I've been underwater, trying to reach the top, trying to get that that air. It's quiet down there. It's silent, but it's also holding you down in a way. And you're trying to get to the top, and I swam the other way where I thought I was getting to the top, and my head hit the sand.
Oh yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I kind of, when I'm under there, I'm like, I like being here. I know I need air sooner or later, but it's so quiet, and it's like a completely different world. And but I have been in the situation where, I need to get up now. I need to get some air. I'm done being here. So
I'm done being here.
Yeah.
I get kind of like I get a really strong emotion from this image.
So do I. And for me, it's peace and not struggling, because I've done it, and I've always, I guess I'm lucky. I've always been able to get to the top, but I stay underwater because it's just more peaceful. It is so much more peaceful. It's just quiet, and you see the waves, and I don't know. I get calm from this picture.
Good.
Right. And it's only for a moment that you get that total, you get a glimpse into that peaceful world.
It really is. Just, I mean, I can never scuba dive. I wish I could, but I had a punctured lung, so that's not an option for me. So this is as close I can get to staying under the water, and I try to stay under there as long as possible sometimes. But
okay,
anyway,
I want to hear the story about. I want to hear the story about the punctured lung. That is insane.
That was just during a surgery, and a surgeon just kind of came a little too close to my lung when he was working. So. Yeah.
And it never healed enough for you to really be underwater enough?
It healed, but they just don't want me to ever scuba dive. I can fly. I can, they just don't want me subjected to that much pressure, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But so not a super exciting story there. It was just a mistake.
I don't know. Malpractice is sometimes exciting.
It's a lot.
Oh, I signed that dang waiver though,
I know, right?
All right, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna go give my driver directions to Rob's, and hopefully someone can still get Rob online. I should be there in 15 minutes, and I can help him once I'm there.
Awesome.
Okay, see you guys later.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That was really good. That was a really great picture.
Thank you.
So I do like the picture, but in context again of like what we're doing, just a thought was like,
oh, absolutely, please.
If maybe there were some bubbles blowing, so you can like tell that it was the perspective of the person.
Yes.
So
right.
that's the only thing that came to mind of mine That in that way, that to me would have added more of a portraiture
Mhm.
feel to it.
Yes, and I actually have pictures of me. We were taking pictures of each other jumping in the water, and I have the picture of, you know, how you jump in and there's all these air bubbles, but there were still my body parts in there. So I was thinking about that, but I'm like, nope, body parts doesn't work. But anyway, that would have been
No,
fun
that's
too.
good that you were thinking that way then, because that's kind of what this whole thing's all about. So awesome.
Get you
This
thinking.
is fun.
That's a wonderful picture. Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, thinking can be hard for me sometimes. It hurts. So no pain, no gain though, right?
It gets better. Eventually we just get old enough and our brains turn to mush.
Yeah.
No feelings left whatsoever.
Yeah. And we don't know. So we're fine.
How are we doing? Frank, 89% done?
Oh no,
Frank's
I've been. I
editing.
was just eating, so I didn't want to do it. Well, I also wanted to add, like, seeing all these photos and hearing more of the stories. It just feels like these, if we did on separate projects, if we did more of them and then added them to at least just one portrait, it would actually make a really good piece. You know, like a diptych even would be pretty cool.
That's a good idea.
Because it's, you know, anyway.
Always trying to turn things into diptychs, though.
Of course.
What'd you say?
He said dick pic. He thinks these should be dick pics.
Where's yours, Where's yours, Will?
You're looking at it.
Okay. I get it now. All right. For this one, I wanted to think more of what makes people unique in their lives. Growing up, knowledge has always been something that I've kind of admired and been taught to, I guess, see in a person significantly. I've had like family members who have had really cool libraries, you know, and really small libraries, but the books were just so thick and meant so much more than the other books. So this is actually mine and my girlfriend's library. It's small, it's a start, but you know, that's exactly what it is a start.
How many photo books are there?
I think at least 10.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Alphabetical, right?
Yeah. So we have some notebooks, photo books, a novel. Actually, this yellow manila folder is a dictionary of art language. So I haven't read too much into it, but I want to be able to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Our printer, of course. Here on the right is actually our emergency bag.
What does that mean? What is that for?
It's basically a bug out bag where it's we have food, you know, extra clothes for at least 2 weeks.
Right.
We can make last 2 weeks. But 3 days in emergency situations, that's, you know, if anything happens, we just grab that and we can head out the door.
Right.
So.
They're squatters, Ken, so they need to be ready.
Yes. They're squatters living in an attic.
Of a Walmart, right? I read that story this morning.
Of a Walmart.
I thought it was a superstore.
9.
Yep. So we have different books we have some NCAT books, we have some old textbooks, novels, photo books, memoirs. Yeah, and this has been like, I think we've been collecting and grabbing whatever we could throughout the place we've moved out, and through like we've had friends who've given us books, you know, from like old libraries too.
Yeah.
Just something that I've been really fond of was my my art school's like library, because every couple weeks they'd fill out some sheets and then they have to send out more books. So they're just like, okay, well, this is for the students, you know, here you go.
That's so killer.
Yeah. And we have some essential oils on top, you know, you keep the energy up. But yeah,
And I see
it
you
was
also
kind of
your
tricky.
first pet there too, right?
The what?
Your first pet that you guys had together. That's important.
Where's the live, laugh,
Yes.
love song?
Yes, this is our first pet.
Yeah, Will has a point. Is the live,
Better at
laugh, love
Target.
sign like right above this?
The what?
The live, laugh, love sign made of wood that you found at the Pottery Barn?
I think it's just cropped out on the top. Yeah.
It was actually from Home Goods.
Oh, good. Hobby Lobby.
You're one.
We actually have some really cool wall art that's supposed to come in the next month from an artist friend of ours.
There it
It's
is.
gonna be, well, it's gonna be custom made dried flowers in a see-through frame.
Yeah, but you also had the keyword an artist friend of yours, so you're not seeing that for at least a year. We all have those artist friends. I'm still waiting on a couple of pieces myself.
In time.
I better go. My daughter's home, and I know she's gonna need my attention. And
Okay.
anyway, but
no worries.
thank you
Thanks for
so
joining
much.
us.
Well, thank you so much. I
Yeah,
learned
thank
so
you.
much, and yeah, can't wait for the next one. All right, take care.
Cool.
Bye.
See you, Lori.
Bye.
Hi, Lori.
All right, we are losing people left and right now. So who's left? I think that's Shiloh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gone yet.
All right.
So it's time to go then, I guess.
Yeah, it won't let me while Frank's sharing.
Oh, Frank.
Oh, my bad.
Ah, the worst.
Ah,
Dang it, Frank. You threw off my groove.
He's grooveless now, Frank, because of you.
darn.
Okay, so let's see.
I feel like we're one click away from seeing something we shouldn't.
Thanks. So I have to untoggle the mute because I'm messing with the window. So I apologize if the puppies get loud.
No problem. No problem.
So I took these this morning because I didn't really like the first ones I took several days ago. It was just kind of a group photo of the army men, and it just didn't really look that great. So I decided to go this route, mess around a little bit with the puppet. I kind of want to feature this guy in a couple YouTube videos, maybe. I don't know.
This dude's got some character.
It does, especially with my glasses on it. But this is the one that I really wanted to talk about a little bit. So as you can see, it's a portrait, but it's not a person. But I get these sandbags to put in the back of my car during the winter time to balance out the weight a little bit better traction and whatnot. Anyway, older bag, it's been sitting in the sun and it busted open. So I set this guy up on the sand that was coming out. So it turned out all right.
That's rad.
He looks like he does not want to be there.
Well,
Reminds me of,
it
Toy
is a
Story.
sandbox, so.
Like, I've never really paid attention to the faces on the army figures, but like for something being that small, there's actually some personality to it,
Yeah.
and it's sad, and I'm depressed now.
I like the color.
Very
you know.
effective photo.
Yeah, I thought, I was just trying to pick one that had a pose instead of just like aiming the rifle or one of the other ones like on the radio. But this is the one I picked for it because it's more of a pose, so it
Yeah.
fits better for a portrait. But over here you can see the shot details.
Stats.
Is this an old army man or a new one?
This one is from a dollar store in the late 90s, I believe, mid to
Okay.
late 90s.
Yeah.
He came in a kit with a couple tanks and several green, several tan. But the other ones I took, I got a couple okay ones, but wanted to do some more this morning because I didn't really like the other ones that much. That I just set them up on my stove and kind of a group photo thing. So this one's more of a portrait.
I feel like you can't go wrong with an army man. Maybe because I'm a guy, I played with these things, and it's kind of bringing me back. I haven't seen one of these things in 40 years.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to break them out of the box like the other ones. I did find a couple old, like I have this box basically. I don't know why I saved just these particularly mindset at the time, but I got rid of a lot of my childhood stuff and ended up keeping several of these army guys and my die-cast planes and a lot of cars. I have a lot of cars, but they're all, I don't have any, classics that are still in the box. So it's not like I'm a Hot Wheels collector or anything, but, I thought just throwing these guys out there, taking a couple pictures, it just kind of worked, throwing this one in the car and then throwing this one on that busted sandbag.
Yeah, I like it.
But
did you purposely make this color of dirt sort of, oppose the green, or was that just happenstance?
It was more like I just walked outside. Once I picked this guy out, I just walked outside with my camera and I kind of looked around. I saw the busted sandbag, and so I did mash down kind of this path where he's standing. And it actually worked out perfect to cover the stand at the bottom, the big flat piece. So it actually looks like he's just standing there in the classic sandbox deployed in Iraq or Afghanistan or something. But I mean, obviously, besides the inaccuracy of the fact that he's still green instead of desert camo, but none of the tan guys would have worked for this because they would have blended in too much. So since he's the subject, I stuck with him.
Yeah.
But I like the way it turned out with the shallow depth of field and being focused so close to the lens and everything. The backdrop, it actually looks like it's a hillside behind him instead of a 2 or 3 inch tall kind of drape out of the sandbag as it's leaking onto the ground. But
which to a kid, that's the way it looks. It looks real.
It does. Me too.
I really do like some of these. Here's the couple more I took with the toys that I dug out of the box. I didn't even remember. I'm a big old school square body GM truck fan. And I totally forgot that I had these too. But yeah, this is just on top of an old shingle, believe it or not, that blew into the yard.
Looks like a road. Like a really gravelly road.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. By the way, whoever's on the phone with Rob, tell him to let me in. I've been sitting out in front for a while.
He stopped talking to us a while ago. He just said he's not coming on.
I have to pee so freaking bad. You don't even know.
So here's the first ones. When I first got them out of the box, I threw these guys up on that shingle on top of my stove. And I just kind of, seeing what I had, I laid them all out on that shingle and took those. But
wait, when you say stove, are you saying like there's an outdoor one, or?
No, this is inside my trailer on top of the stovetop.
Oh wow! It totally looks like you were still on that sand pile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
door in a trailer.
yeah. I just found this shingle that was busted and laying in the yard, but this is my favorite out of the ones I took.
I think you chose right. I mean, like for me, that communicates the best. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went out there perfect timing too. It's the sun's a little bit higher than I maybe would have wanted, but if I leaned him back to get his eyes, the eyes are like the worst feature of these army men because it's so small, the details aren't really there. But the facial, the nose and the facial expression is almost there. So it actually kind of worked out for the personless portrait.
Mm-hmm.
But
I actually think the lighting's fine. Like it just seems like a hot day. Like, I mean, that's just what happens.
Yeah, when you're playing with those things, that's what it looks like.
It definitely fits with the backdrop for sure, giving it that feel like it's out in the Mideast.
Ooh, so you're a Minolta guy.
I have a Pentax. My digital is a Canon. So yeah, as far as the film, I am leaning toward the Minoltas. I did get back what I had in the Pentax, and it didn't turn out really the way that I would have wanted. But now that I know how it shoots, I'm going to throw some black and white in there and try some different, knowing the characteristics gives me the opportunity to say, oh, this is a shot for that camera and the way it shoots. But
So,
I do prefer the Minoltas.
one Minolta versus Pentax.
It's mainly because I got into Minolta just because it was what was available. I was looking for a film camera so that I could get another Canon AE1, which was my first real camera. Then I ended up finding that there were several lists, but they were $200 or $150. I found one recently that was $75 and was just the camera with the kit lens. So I could have gone for that, but at the time I was just looking for something more affordable. I ended up getting a Minolta for I think it was $40, and then got actually no, it was $20. I got the camera itself. The lens that came on it was a messed up lens, and then I got a better lens, a 1.4 lens for $40. So it was basically just dictated to what was available at the time, and then I ended up finding at a estate sale, I got 2 camera bags that just so happened to have Minolta gear in it. When I was there, I was looking at tools and whatnot, and they brought out the camera bags after I thought to ask them if they had any old cameras. So I was pretty excited when I got into the bag and saw that it was Minolta gear because I could have used it, at least the glass. I was excited about the glass, but the bodies ended up working good. Sorry about the puppies.
That's it. I got let in. Rob's son let me in.
Okay. But yeah, I got into it because after seeing the results that came out of these cameras, I ended up finding more, and I got another 2 Minoltas. So now I have 2 Minolta X700s. I have the SRT 100 and an SRT 201, which is my favorite so far. With that 50 millimeter 1.4 lens, it's beautiful. But the Pentax K1000, it was just another cheap option, and I jumped on it. It's got a lot of character. It's an early run, so it's interesting to see the characteristics that it has. And now that I know how it shoots, I'll throw some black and white in it and have it for artistic effect, basically.
How was that Pentax different than your Minolta?
The main difference that I saw in the results when I got the film back was the Pentax seems to be a lot more susceptible to sunlight. It
Oh.
washes out quite a bit easier than the Minolta lenses.
Hmm.
So a lot of the results, it was also a different film. So I do want to test it some more before I say, specifically that's how the lens and body shoot. But
Uh-huh.
just has some different characteristics. The Minolta glass that I have just seems to be much better about, facing toward the sun and not washing out.
Is that like coatings or something like that, you think? Or what makes the glass better at facing light like that level of light?
It may be the coatings. It may also be the filter that I have on the Minolta glass.
Mm-hmm.
Rob. RJ.
I could show you here. Totally off topic now, just talking about the Minolta versus Pentax, but these are edited. I got these back from the 4th of July. This I took with the Minolta SRT 100 with the 2x teleconverter and the 80 to 200. So this was at 400, full moon on 4th of July, and fireworks were going off in the right direction. I managed to get this on my film camera through the 2x teleconverter and a new lens I wasn't, familiar with.
Wow.
Right as the firework went off, just in front of the moon. So I'm pretty happy with that one.
Yeah.
This one's my favorite though, because it's got the sparkles with it, but definitely have quite a bit of characteristic differences when I throw that converter on there and the longer lens. You can tell there's a lot of glass, and it's through a window in an upstairs 2-story house. So quite a bit going on there. But this one is a slightly edited that I got back from the Pentax. It's cropped in a little bit of contrast. And this one was the Minolta again. This was on the Kodak. So here is the entire first roll that I got back from the Pentax. This was the day that I got it. I threw that film in there. Quite shady, a little bit longer of an exposure, wide open, and it's got that haze in the lens. One of the things I did notice was the more that I shot it, the more debris showed up. So I've got to clean it again. But
you're gonna go? You're gonna go? This is Pentax, all this?
Yeah, this is just the Pentax with the Fujifilm 200 Fuji color.
Cool.
So, and this was no filter on the lens. This was just, I think that was part of the problem, was that I don't even have a UV or a skylight on it.
Right.
I think it would do much better with the skylight and or a polarizer. I think I might have a polarizer that's extra that I can fit on it, but I have the good polarizer is on my good lens for the Minolta. So this was a longer shutter. It was super dark. That storm rolled through and just during sunset too. So longer shutter, handheld. I think I was doing a time lapse or something with my digital on the tripod. So I was just hand holding this.
I love those little lights. I love the lights from the buildings. That's cool.
Yeah, it was right at that time of day where things were starting to turn on. So I got a couple of them. But
cool.
I really like this one. The sun broke through just right to cast on those hills on the east side of Reno.
It has like a painterly thing about it.
It does, and especially with this Fujifilm, like this in the foreground here, that green tinge to it,
Yeah.
that was not there. That's
Mm.
all because it's Fujifilm.
Uh-huh.
There was basically almost no green in there when I took the picture.
Cool.
But yeah, it's definitely, this is a little bit better. It was toward the sun, but I think I may have been blocking it because of like blocking it with my hand when I took this one.
What cast of characters there, huh?
Yeah, especially while Sierra's squinting like that, it makes her look evil. But and this is one of my wide open depth of field checks on that lens that came on the Pentax.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole log is about, it's probably about 16 inches around.
Okay.
And this is another one wide open. So there's my setup. Home sweet home.
Awesome.
And then this is a longer shutter inside, poor lighting. So you got a little bit of motion blur in there. I can't remember if this was 1/30th or slower.
Mm-hmm. There's that killer lens case.
I got about 50 of them if you want some.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I don't use them. They just kind of sit in a corner of my room.
I might take you up on a few of those.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one's a perfect size, and it fits in it's actually a lunch pail that I use as a camera bag for the film cameras. It fits in there perfect with the two bodies that I carry with me right now with film in it. And I actually have one of the 50 millimeters, and then I stacked a 28 millimeter on top of it, and it fits in there perfect. A couple filters on there as well. So it fits perfect in there. And then I have the 2x teleconverter with the good 50 millimeter lens on the body in the bag. So it worked out. But
those came out good.
yeah, I think this one's my favorite. This one was pointing away from the sun, but you can still see there's characteristics in there, not just because of the film, but it's not quite as clear as I would want. And I don't know if that's just because it's the original lens on a early run Pentax. It's probably super old.
No, it just looks back focused. Because if you see the rock behind it, it's in focus. The tablet isn't. And the foliage on the tree is also in focus. So it just looks back focused.
This one was a little bit stopped down. So it did have a little bit better depth of field. But I was actually focusing on the tablet through the viewfinder. So I'm wondering if something needs to be adjusted.
It could need to be calibrated. Sure. But yeah, you can obviously tell from the foliage and from the rock behind it that that's where the plane of focus is versus the tablet.
Yeah.
What film was this, Shiloh?
This was the Fujicolor 200.
Okay.
And this was a new roll. This was a roll that I got off the shelf at the camera store. So one of the things is, it was stopped down, but I was about 3.5, 4 feet away from the tablet. So it could have been that basically because I was crouched down to get the flowers that angle that I wanted, maybe I leaned too far forward when I actually took it. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely see what you mean about the rock behind it being clearer.
Did you check the date on the film? Because even if it's on the shelf, it could have been on there for years.
Yeah, this was a new shipment that they got because they ran out during the lockdown. So when they got their, at first when they opened back up, they had no film whatsoever. They sold everything online. So this one was actually just in the canister off. So I don't have the box to show me an expiration or anything.
Yeah. Take a look at that.
This one was a lot better. as far as the clarity. And this is a little bit, let's see, that should be full size. We'll do it this way.
Grace, what are the
There's
characteristics of the shot that makes you think it could be old film?
It doesn't make me think it's old film. It's just that, I mean, people don't use film as much. Even if you buy it off the shelf, and even if it is a new shipment, it doesn't mean that, you know, whoever the supplier was didn't have it sitting on a shelf for a while.
Yeah,
in
sure.
the older days, like, yeah, I might have think there was more turnaround, but I don't know about these days.
Right.
Yeah.
And like back in the day, like I never even used to use like you know, consumer grade film. It was always either professional grade film, like Fuji Press or something else like that, because then I knew it was within the range and I would check the dates. Nowadays, I don't know. I don't really shoot film anymore, but I can't imagine the turnover for film is that high anymore.
Do you think it'd be higher at like some of the mainstream camera stores in like cities today?
It depends on the type of film. Like, I think more people these days are wanting to shoot black and white because it seems more artistic, and I don't know about color. Like, I can't imagine people wanting to shoot color film these days. And then here's another thing you have to consider is even if the film stock is okay, like what lab are you taking it to? Are they keeping their chemistry you know, refreshed? Because how much film is really going through that chemistry at this point? Like chemistry can go bad in a day if you don't get enough stuff. It oxidizes that quickly. When I used to work at a lab, we tested our chemistry probably with every 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
So you never know. And then, like, obviously this isn't straight from film, so this is either scanned from the negative or scanned from the or a print, and I don't know what the color profile of that is either.
Right.
So there's so many things that can contribute to the look of this at this point.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to see just, you know, not only it being the first roll through the camera, but it's also Fuji, which I never have preferred. So it is from the same lab, and in a second I can show you. It's a professional lab that the camera store goes through. They send it out to California. I forget the name of the lab. But they do all of this stuff, and none of the Minolta stuff has turned out like this. Like, this is facing away from the sun, and I didn't take, you know, field notes as far as what settings I had, aperture, shutter, or anything, but this is just way too washed out to me, and I don't know.
Scan it yourself? Lab scan
No. They do the negatives, and then they scan from the negatives. This is toward the sun, and this makes more sense, especially being Fuji, the colors that are coming out here.
Yeah, there could be a lot of stuff with this. It could be the film stock. It could be the chemistry they process it in. It could be the person scanning it that gets that particular look. Because, and you know, I'm scanning like hundreds of rolls of film, and like just by the end of the, like midway through the day, your eyes get so fatigued, like the color is just off, just because I've been staring for like 4 hours at this point, or even 8 hours, you know.
Right.
Break. We were allowed to.
That's true. I remember spending, I think the longest I spent was maybe 10 hours of scanning film straight.
Wow.
I did find a local listing, kind of a mass listing for several things this person is selling, and in there is a negative scanner. So I was thinking about that, but then I looked it up on Amazon, and there's several options that are close in price to what they're asking that are much newer systems, so I'm not sure. This one here is from the Kodak out of the Minolta, and it was sent in the same order with the Fujifilm out of the Pentax, and it's quite a bit different on the characteristics.
Do you know how calibrated your camera is? Like, is the shutter slightly off? Like, is it slower? Usually 90% of the time, 99% of the time, it is slower because it gets gummed up.
Right.
And so if you underexpose that film for some reason, or overexpose that film because the timing's just off, then it's going to affect the color.
Yeah.
Heat also affects it. So if it sits on a shelf unrefrigerated, it's starting to age already.
Right.
And they also say, like, rule of thumb, if you're getting film from overseas, you're traveling with it, you have about 3 x-rays before it starts to shift the color and fog. So that's another thing to consider, is how it's shipped.
And I remember, like, I would always like to shoot on Kodachrome, and that is something you just cannot go through x-rays with. You just bring a lot of film, you put it in a lead-lined bag, and you hope and you pray the person who is scanning your film is just going to x-ray that one film and just trust you on the rest of it. Like, I've heard stories of, like, where you know, the airport will just take one roll out of your bag and just chuck it through the x-ray machine for you, just to get, so it like minimizes the x-ray out of that, and they'll just hand you the bag. They'll like hand inspect the bag for you, but who knows, like, you don't know what's going to happen with film these days.
Yeah.
I've traveled out where they open up all my 120 boxes individually and unwrap them from the plastic, not unravel the roll, but that sucks too, you know? Like, you expect to have brand new film and you show up and it's like, you don't know what's what anymore, you know?
Another reason I don't shoot film.
That sucks. I've always like advocated for hand checking my film. Like, they'll set me aside for an hour and I'll say, I am not putting this through an x-ray. I want it hand checked. And then their supervisor comes along and is like, I want a hand check. And then they'll be like, okay, fine, we'll do it. Like, it was nothing, no issue.
Yeah,
But
usually
that
leaving
sucks.
California, you're good.
That sucks, though.
Yeah.
If you go through LAX somehow gets, you know, the people at the security are just used to creatives going through, and so they will hand check. But like smaller airports, they just really don't want to, especially if you're in another country. They're just like, fuck you, I don't care. Deal with it. And then, you know, like one run through the x-ray machine is like about a stop to stop and a half.
Here's a bonus personalist portrait, and I'll give you a hint. It's somebody that Grace and Frank knows. So can you guess whose personalist portrait this is?
Larry Hack.
How did you guess so fast?
Del Taco and Diet Coke, baby.
Oh, that's great.
I know my peoples.
My God. So Larry said, here's my no self portrait. Just took a little bit ago. I call it the 1% because this is 1% of all the shit in my life. Right now, as you can see, it's consisting of hand sanitizer, tool batteries, plumbing fixtures for yard work, hand cleaner for car work, and of course, Diet Coke. That's me. And then he said at the end, and Del Taco.
See, the Del Taco, the Diet Coke, that's all that has Larry Hack.
Man, that is uncanny, Grace. That is just uncanny.
I do have a question for you guys. As far as the film goes, and what I put in there next on the Pentax, do you guys, as far as contrast, do you guys think the HP5 or the Acros or the Delta 100, whichever one has more contrast, I think is what I'm going to put in there next?
I haven't done a side-by-side comparison, so I'm out.
I'd say the HP5. push it to stop.
I will say I used to like the Acros more than the Fuji, but like Fuji just became one of those things that was just more easily accessible, and I just compensated in the darkroom.
Yeah.
I'm going to say HP5 is going to have your higher contrast because it's got a clear acetate base. But if you compare it to like Kodak or you compare it to Fuji, the Fuji Acros is known to have the highest tonal range. So you're not going to have as much contrast. Shooting any T-Max or Tri-X, the film base is pretty, it's pretty opaque. So you have to add that into your tonal range and exposure. I would say HP5 is going to give you the highest contrast for sure.
Okay.
It's just out of the box, like without red filters or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
That
I unfortunately don't have any red filters.
Well, you can
Bummer.
always adjust in post.
Yeah. Usually what I do is I just use the polarizer. And if it doesn't look right to me through the viewfinder with the polarizer, I usually just switch to the Canon and take a digital photo. Because I have a little bit more to work with in post. But I don't normally do anything in post. I'm kind of a purist. I mean, I am branching out, but in general, I like to see what actually comes out of the camera.
You're going to figure out really fast that you have to post-process film.
Yeah, I have noticed that with a few of these, yeah.
Yeah, you have to. So typically, if you do your own scanning, you want to scan your full 255, separate tones. And then you want to bring your histogram and fucking compress that shit. So 0 is true black and white is 255. And then you get rid of the rest of the information. But that's like the rawest, purest form to get a piece of film scanned, is to get the full range and then reduce it yourself. Because if you try to do it all in scan, it's like shooting JPEG.
And
yeah, exactly.
On scan, I've done so much post processing. It's really how you process that film. It's how old that film is. It's like, just like a little bit of heat can fog that base already. So even start off with like a base that's really clear, then you could still fuck it up really easily. And if you don't have a high quality scanner, you're still gonna fuck it up,
Yeah.
Like my entire life has really been predominantly in post-production. So, you have to really be careful about how you process that film, how you handle that film, where that film came from in the first place. You have to get it from a reliable source that's getting it as much as possible from the manufacturer, and then if possible process it yourself so no one else is handling your film.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you scan it on a high quality scanner, and if you get a flatbed scanner, that's not good, because then you're going through like the glass plane of it. Get a dedicated film scanner so that the only thing between you and the camera lens is the film and the film base, and then go for that. And then you're just really going to have to train your eye to see color and tone.
Yeah.
If you do go with
workflow,
flatbed, though, you can mitigate that clarity and just wet mount your film directly onto the film scanner base. And to do it cheaply, you could just use lighter fluid, but you can actually get scanner fluid, and literally you just pour it onto the fucking bed of the flatbed scanner. You throw your film down on there. If you're using Silverfast, you don't have to worry about alignment. But if you're not using Silverfast, you need to make sure it's aligned. That's acceptable to you. Of course, in post, you can just move that shit around. But you do a fluid mount, and it's just literally the film and glass. That's it. And then once you take your film off, it just dries. It evaporates because it's
It is. You also have to be really careful about getting that fluid in the crevices.
Correct.
But that's the best part.
Well, if you get like an Epson, oh my god, get the 800
10,000 XL
or an 850, they come with something so that you can fluid mount and it won't get into any other mechanism. But it's a $900 scanner. and that's still a flatbed scanner. So the best thing to do, maybe a drum scanner or just a dedicated film scanner.
I think those cost about the same though.
It is, but if you're going to pay that much, then why have that extra piece of glass between you and the film?
I don't find it to be an issue because the scanner I've got, I can do 2400 DPI optical. I don't have to interpolate shit. And I've seen the Hasselblad scanner. We've all seen it firsthand. It's pretty dirty. So there is a trade-off. You fluid mount, man, you don't get any of your scratches and you don't see any of your dust because it's wet and it fills all those crevices. So there are caveats. But a fluid mount, you could just get a V750, $400 on eBay, get yourself a $55 fluid mount on Amazon. You have a fucking fluid mount scanner right there at 1200 DPI right out of the box.
I agree. The difference is negligible. Like I can't really see the difference. I'd have to blow it up so much I barely can tell the difference.
Yeah, I print in feet, so it matters to me.
Like I can't tell the difference. And that's all I do. I scan and I don't scan anymore. I haven't scanned for years, but I still look at digital images probably daily.
It's a good cheap way to do it too.
And yeah, just spend the money for the scanning fluid because you're going to get that off your film and your scanner so much easier. You don't want that on your film. You don't want anything messing with your original because your negative is essentially your original. Don't mess with it.
Did you already eat all your Indian food?
No, it's still on the counter. Rob's asleep. I went up to his room.
How awesome!
Desk
having a nap.
Yeah, and like I called out to him a couple times and he didn't wake up, so I'm like, oh, I'll just sit out here and chat for a while. I should just go wake him up so he can join in on this call because I'm sure he would have so much. You know what? You're right. He probably has a lot to contribute. Let me just I'm gonna get off the thing right now and I'll be back on. Hopefully you're gonna be on for at least another 15 minutes, so it'll be worthwhile for him.
Sure.
Okay, I'll go wake him up.
Okay.
See ya.
Oh, that's great.
What a cool.
You guys want to see something cute?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Is that a snake? I'm just kidding. Dan, how old is that little pup?
2 weeks.
I forgot about that. You got puppies over there.
Yeah, actually a week and a half almost.
Wow. That's about as cute as it gets right there.
Yep.
What have you been doing, Michael?
I just ended school this past Friday and I'm catching up with all this other fucking collective shit I'm doing right now.
Oh.
Did you graduate or just the end of the semester or what?
Well, I'm in limbo because I can either graduate or get my double major, but I'm in this like weird email. That's what this was just right now. It's an email thread concerning my double majors. Apparently I'm the only one. But the argument is whether there's the capital to hire the instructors to finish off my second major. So I'll find that out later today, but hopefully by this fall I'll be a double major. If not, I'll be graduated. So.
Wow.
Well, I guess congrats either way, right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It took fucking 9 years to do it. But at least it's at SFAI, and not just some school, I guess.
It's rad.
That's great, man. Well, congrats either way for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I was curious. I wanted to share my screen really quick. If you guys are familiar with this guy.
Oh yeah, of course we are. Frank's friends with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're friends.
Yeah, he's the homie.
That's great. Yeah, I've seen a few of these, I guess. I didn't know he had this many.
He's been at it a while.
Yeah, he has. But when I when I got into it again after so many years of being away from film, his videos were some of the first that I was watching. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's got some good content, some good information on there. There was one photo walk. I think he vlogged it. We're actually in there.
Oh, that one,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
Do you know what the title was?
Print exchange, and it was like uploaded May 2019, I think, last year.
It's a San Francisco one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. We're on there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Let's see.
part of the film community up here in the Bay Area, and it's actually pretty strong. You could look up Glass Key Photo, and they have like art shows and stuff that he's like been to and been a part of.
We've done them too as well.
Yeah.
They have fresh stock of film and they sell online, so they are fresh. They're direct from the factory, and they do boutique film too. So like all that like special film stuff that you only read about, they actually carry it in store.
Nice.
Even now. So like the one I'm obsessed with, Frank still needs to mail it back to me, is the Washi 50. It's a boutique film made by a little French, boutique company in a garage, but they convert magnetic recording tape into film sensitive material, and they spool it in 120. The characteristic is extremely high fidelity and definition, but very high contrast as well.
Nice.
And do they somehow get the magnetic material off of there, or do they just leave it on when they?
No, there's a process to remove it. I'm not sure if it's removed or it somehow is chemically converted to become sensitive.
That's a trip.
But it originates from recording tape.
Dang, that's a trip.
Yeah, they carry that in store. Another recommendation I'd have for you to just make your life easier, and I'm just assuming you're not doing this, but monobath.
Yeah.
Monobath. Have you heard of that?
Tell me about monobath.
I haven't, no.
So monobath, I'll let Frank tell you. It's easier than washing your hands, and that's a Frank quote.
Yeah.
Really? Let's hear this, Frank.
Yeah, it's easier than washing your hands. You basically, I guess it depends on the film. If it doesn't have an extra coating, like a Rolly infrared, you can just wash the film for 30 seconds and then dump it out. Oh wait, hold on, sorry, I just got your message. Okay, you could dump it out and then proceed with the process. It's basically just one chemical, developer, stop, fix, and it's supposed to be photo flow, but it always leaves
streaks,
stains and stuff. Yeah,
So
it leaves stuff, so
distilled water,
it's easier to use photo flow.
And it just comes in a big pint or maybe more quart, and you just use it 20 times and that's it. And you mix it back in. You don't like dump it out. You reuse it.
Right.
You can order it
one chemical
from B&H or Adorama or whomever that's not Amazon, and it's $40.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no. So what are are there any compromises to doing it that way?
None that I've seen, other than you have more time to fill, I guess, more free time. I don't know what the compromise would be there.
It's
I don't see any.
It's I guess not as sharp as maybe Rodinol, but it does provide contrast. It provides maybe the same sharpness as D76, and that's basically it. But you can only use it like 20 times. Wait, did I say D76?
No, D76. I'm saying monobath, they also call it D96.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other name for it.
It sounds too good to be true. One chemical.
I mean, if you're a D76 person, then you're dumb not using D96, because that just makes your life easier. But if you're a Rodinol person or like a Pyro person, like it might not be for you, because those kinds of people that are developing with that, they want a certain style. They're not experimenting anymore.
Right.
D96, I would say it's like good for definitely not professional, but like an advanced hobbyist or a student. But I mean,
And
it's all
if you shoot
relative
different
anyway.
films, if you
Yeah,
shoot
if you
different
shoot different
films, it's perfect for you because you can put like a roll of HB5 and a roll of Triax together.
or something.
Oh, that's so cool.
The same ISOs can go in because the developing time is based on the ISO, assuming that the film is shot stock. But if you want to do any pushing or pulling, you chill the chemical or you raise the temperature of it, and that controls push and pull and even time. Because clearly the higher the temperature, the less time it takes. So like on the label itself, like I think you can develop at 86 degrees and it's like 3 minutes at 400 ISO, like something like that. That's developing, fixing, wash, and the supposed clearing agent.
Whoa, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. So
I'll try some. I'm not really one way or the other. I use Rodinol right now just because somebody told me to do it, but I don't really have. I don't really, I'm not that discerning yet. So I'll definitely give that a shot.
I learned with HC110, which is already contrasty as it is, and
yeah,
I love HC110.
I do too. I use a lot. Before Rodinol, that's what I was using was the HC110.
Just smells like vinegar. I don't like that.
How fun. I'm going to try that. I've seen that and I just thought, is that really... Matter of fact, I saw one of those guys. I don't know who he is. He's I don't know if you guys have seen this, but was it NBC did a little piece on some of these YouTube photographers. Have you seen that yet?
No, I didn't see that yet.
So I don't know if it's old or not, but they talked to people at Kodak and they were saying that the YouTube photographers are like boosting their sales and they they're selling everything they got, blah, blah, blah. And...
Well, there's the strange caveat to that, Ken, because I've been telling my cult about watching Kodak stock, and we've been watching it for about a month. It started at $2.11, and it ended in July at $47.
Whoa!
But right now, today, it's $14. So it took a big dive.
Oh, shit.
It's probably going to go back down to $2. I think I'm going to pick it up when it goes back down, but we were tracking it for a while. It just shot up faster than I anticipated because I was getting ready to buy last Friday, but last Monday it was up $27. By Wednesday it was up 41. By Friday it was up to 47. But not, like I said, right now it's $14. Mm-hmm. But they made a sideways announcement, man. They're involved in pharma now.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen is someone's going to pick up Olympus and Kodak at the same time and implement them kind of solely in pharmaceutical optics or some sort of healthcare something, because Olympus also went out of business.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, but I don't know how long that's going to last because like Minolta, they still make printers and they still make like medical gear,
Yeah.
Minolta's still a company. They make our fucking digital press at school. And they still service it as Minolta, employees. So I know they exist, just not in camera. Just wonder what's going to happen with Olympus altogether.
That's a good question.
But it's interesting you mentioned that too, because that stock went up and down this past month.
Do you think that had some correlation?
I think there was a sort of prep for it for sure, because who was talking about Kodak since the Academy Awards? You know what I mean? No one even talked about Kodak stock being at $2. I just told them, I told the cult, hey, I just noticed this. It'd be cool to be photographers that have stock in Kodak buying it at $2. And if it goes under, whatever, like you got that piece of paper. But
that's true.
But now it's a different ballgame. Something's about to happen, man. I'd keep an eye on it. Just, whoever's listening, keep an eye on it. I'm not here to make money or compete. I just care about Kodak stock, and it just happened to be one I watched get crazy in a 30-day span. So
that's nuts.
It makes me a little scared to play with it, but I don't quite have disposable money in that sense. But at $2, I think I can do that and be fine,
It's worth the risk.
Yeah, in the name of Kodak. But I'd be interested to see it. I would venture to guess that Ilford would buy Kodak because Fuji picked up Polaroid, and Kodak's too big a staple to let go. That'd be like if shit. What would it be like if something went out of business here? That's an American staple. Can you imagine if like Ford or Chevy went under?
Yeah.
Or GM?
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly the same thing.
I mean, the government gave them a bailout even. Like, it's a part of American culture. And I think Eastman Kodak is part of that culture because, you know, historically, you look back at like celebrities and fame, and Paul McCartney married one of the heirs to Eastman back then.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like Kodak has always been in the ears of America, at least, even in foreign relations. I would be really surprised if they let it go.
Yeah.
They've been really good to their film community too.
Yeah, they absolutely have. They've even been answering fucking people's critiques and addressing them. And okay, well, we have this plan for this new film. Like, there's a new formula based on this or whatever. Like, I think it's great, dude. And their employee structure, I thought I read, is less than 200 people.
That's what I thought too.
So like, there's something to be said there. You can very well meet the fucking owner of that place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you probably could. I have some portraits if y'all have time for a share later or whatever.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Time.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
I've just been working on too many things, dude.
That's better than two.
I'm modifying rock band gear, and now I'm doing the Rock Band 3 modification. I was reading about it. I didn't invent this or nothing. But you can get modded files and play on your 360, like a few thousand songs. But the instrument game is pretty crazy. But I think Jesus smiles on me daily, and I've been getting these really crazy deals on eBay, and I've just been swooping them up. Fuck it. But not like dumb, dude. Like,
what are you buying?
So I got lucky. I like to play bass. I can play all the instruments, whatever. But on the bass, that's just my go-to. Rock Band, they only made one model of that, of like an alternate guitar for bass players.
Yeah.
And it has, you know, the strum, the paddle, but it's split.
Yeah.
And it's a little bigger, so you have like a little more heft, a longer neck. So you have it's taking some getting used to, but it's more ergonomically sound for a bass player. You have your thumb rest, so you have leverage to pull up on instead of just holding the guitar awkwardly, you know. But they only made a few 12 years ago, and you need this like really hard to get wireless adapter so it'll adapt to Xbox One. I got the adapter already.
Let's play on this for a while.
Long story short, if you can find one of those and people know what it is, they go for like
Talking about
$250,
film, and you
$400.
are probably one of the
Easy.
best places
But if you can
people
come
to
across
talk about
one
Zoom.
where people don't know what they've got exactly, you can get one for like $7.
I look very
cool, man.
Put on your desk lamp.
That's cool, Michael.
But yeah, I guess
That's
I
awesome.
show these portraits and stuff.
Hey, Rob.
Hey.
He's the one you need to ask about film. This is a guy that used to be Ansel Adams' darkroom assistant.
So what about film? I hate film now.
Well, I'm more curious to hear more of the backstory on working for Ansel.
I'm sorry, the backstory on what?
Working for Ansel Adams.
Oh, well, I was very lucky when I first started. Most of you probably know who John Sexton is. And John was my very first photography teacher. The very first photography class that I took was the very first photography class that he taught.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And we became friends, and that class actually changed my life. Other than that, I would have been a dentist. And I'm really glad that I'm not a dentist. So anyway, John and I became friends, and a couple of years down the line, John was Ansel's technical assistant, I don't know, full-time assistant of some sort. And John hired me to be an assistant at the Ansel Adams workshops in Yosemite, and actually appointed me to be Ansel's darkroom assistant. So I was, I guess from the beginning, just completely into making prints and making expressive black and white prints. I was a kind of disciple. And so I was Ansel's darkroom assistant for a while. So anyway, that's my thing.
You've been playing piano, Rob?
About film, between Acros and HP5, what's black and white film do you prefer?
What black and white film do I prefer?
Yeah.
Well, from my own film history, it would be TXP, Tri-X Professional, which was rated by Kodak at 320 ISO, but I always shot it at 200 ISO. But that's all based on personal testing, within the darkroom and what works for an individual. And that's the case, I think, for any kind of film that you do. Whatever ISO a film is rated at by the manufacturer is only kind of a guideline. You have to test for yourself. And thank God now we don't have to do that because we have a digital environment. But but that's what you have to do. You have to run what was called back in the day a 9 negative test that changed both, that tested both the ISO and coupled it with what was called the normal developing time. So.
Hey, Rob, can you talk about how to do a 9 negative test? Because that was our conversation 2 conversations ago, and we couldn't remember how to do it really.
I'm seeing Grace down there in the corner holding my cat. That's Jeevers, and he's quite a personality. I'm sorry, Grace, but that's like such ancient history.
Oh, let me get on this one. I hate film too. I've been talking about this for gosh knows how many Zoom meetings. So now we get to hear from Rob about why he doesn't want film.
Well, it isn't that I don't want film. I spent, I don't know how many hundreds of hours in a darkroom developing film and doing normal development, N+1 development, N-1 development based on the zone system that I got from Ansel. And it all worked back in the day, but for goodness sakes, the digital environment changed everything. And I was one of the ones that saw that early on, like in the early 90s, 1990s. And everyone said, well, but it's going to take 20 years for it to catch on. Well, it took 10 or 12 years, but finally it became just an amazing technology, and working with film is something that you might want to do anachronistically, but the digital toolbox is just basically beyond belief. I can do with my Canon 35 better than I could do with my 4x5 camera. I mean, the glass got better. Everything just worked. And what I found with the digital environment was just that, oh, this is finally what I could do that I struggled to do with film and printing in the darkroom. I could finally do in a digital environment, sitting at my desk. The things that I could never quite do, and now all of a sudden they're not any really easier, except the fact that I'm sitting at my desk, but they're all possible, and everything is possible. Back in the day we had black and white and we had color. Now we just have photographs, and I can adjust everything photographically, and I can adjust everything in relation to black and white. I can adjust everything in relation to color, all at the same time. We had black and white, and we had what was called Cibachrome maybe back in the day, which was a color positive thing. And you had to make film masks, and you had to do all this. God, it was just really, excuse my French, it was really fucking hard. And now everything is just there at your fingertips to make photographs and do. That doesn't mean that you don't have to know what to do, but everything is there for you to do and to play with. And Grace is here today to kind of help me update my little freaking computer, because it doesn't seem to want to update Adobe for me. But my goodness, it's just an incredible thing, the tool that we have now. And people that are, I'm pushing 70 years old at this point. So people that came up and just were introduced to photography within the last 20 years, you don't know the struggle, and I'll call it a struggle, that we went through to make expressive photographs.
I beg to differ. I went to school within the past 20 years, and it was completely film.
But you're so lucky. You have every tool at your fingertip.
And Shyla, to answer your question, man, I think film test is relevant, because if you look at photography technically, your shutter, just because it's not on a film camera, doesn't mean it's perfect. It's still mechanical. You still need to know the nuances of your shutter. So what I would recommend is you take a big poster, one side black, one side white, then put a gray card in the center and shoot and bracket, and then see what you like better based on black, white, gray card, and color surrounding. And it's relevant because everything's still mechanical.
Well, all of that stuff exists, except shutter speeds now are electronic, and they're pretty much completely under control. And I have an assistant, or I have a story from Ansel. When we were doing the workshops in Yosemite, I was working with my 4x5 camera, and one of the sessions that Ansel did, when we were all done, he would turn people loose to make photographs, and So I, you know, I was kind of free to go and work, and I was focusing my camera on a certain subject, and Ansel came up behind me, and I could just feel his presence there. And so I came out from under the dark cloth of my 4x5, and I said, yeah, uh-huh. And he said, so what are you photographing? And I told him, and he got under my own dark cloth and said, oh, well, that's an interesting thing. What is your exposure? And I told him my f-stop and shutter speed. And in those days, the the shutter speeds were, the shutters on view cameras were very much mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, and I said, I'm photographing at a 50th of a second at whatever f-stop. I can't remember the f-stop. And so he said, okay, so will you fire the shutter for me? Because we used to have to fire the shutters a few times to get them warmed up, to get them to speed. And I did, and he said, fire it again. And I fired it again. He said, fire it again. And I go, and so he said, that's your 50th of a second? And he said to me, that sounds more like a 37th of a second, not a 50th of a second. And I'm all, yeah, right, dude. And because he was kind of known for making kind of jokes about stuff. And I thought, okay, fine, yeah, 37. So when we wound up the session, I packed him up and took him back to the car, and we went back up to the house, to his house, and he went down to have lunch and left me to put stuff away in the darkroom studio area. And
was that an earthquake?
Yeah, I think we just had an earthquake.
Oh.
And so I figured, okay, I'm just gonna freaking test him. And I took my lens out of my camera case, and I put it on the shutter speed tester that he had in the darkroom. He had, Ansel was a gadget guy. He just loved having everything, any kind of gadget you could get to test stuff. He wanted it. So he had a shutter speed tester in the entryway to the darkroom area. And I took my lens and I put it on the tester, and I'll be goddamned if every time I fired it, it was a 37th of a second. And
legend.
I'm all, are you effing kidding me? You could hear that on my camera, a 37th of a second. So yeah, anyway.
Is that because he was a musician?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that because Ansel was a pianist?
Well, I mean, I play piano and keyboards too. No, I don't think so. I think that he had just heard a shutter fire so many times that he knew it. And years later, I don't think I could have pinpointed it to a 37th of a second, but years later, I could tell that a 50th, if you had it set to a 50th of a second, it either was or it wasn't. But I couldn't nail it down to a 37th of a second, which was just sort of other planetary. Anyway.
That's cool.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Oh, can you tell the story about your first day of working for Zajac?
Oh, well, most of you know Greg Zajac.
Yeah.
Some yes, some no. Yeah, I assisted for Zajac for a couple, 3 years when I was first getting going, and he hired me on spec, and the first day that I worked for him, I happened to have to leave early because I was going to grad school, and I felt like, oh my God. So I'm working for this guy, and the very first day I worked for him, I have to leave early because I got to go to class. And he left me with, I don't know how many, I think, as I recall, he left me with somewhere between 50 and 60 negatives that he wanted me to print. And that's kind of what I did. I was a printer. I was a master printer, and I made black and white prints for people. And he left me with all these negatives to print, and he wanted a light, medium, and dark print, 8x10 print of every single negative. And he just sent me into the darkroom and said, I'll be back at like 3 o'clock.
And what time is this right now when he says it to you?
It's 9 o'clock in the morning. And,
Wow.
and I'm, okay, dude. And I printed out, we didn't have print dryers or anything. Everything was laid out to air dry and everything. You had to know the kind of layout of the studio that he had, where there was an office, and then there was a long hallway, and then there was the studio area that had a multi curved cove and shooting area. Yeah, I made, I took all the negatives they had, 55, 60 negatives, and I made 3 prints each, light, medium, and dark, really nice black and white prints. Why did he want medium and light and dark? Because he wanted the art director of the project to be able to choose which image that he wanted, light, medium, or dark. So I made 3 different kinds of prints and laid them out in the hallway between where the dark room was and the shooting area for when he came back. And so say 55 negatives, I made him 165 prints in, individually processed darkroom tray, within 6 hours. And that's what got me the job with him. And Greg, Greg was already a kind of premier shooter in Orange County. And Greg, I had a pretty decent education in photography, but I owe my ability to light stuff and shoot in the studio to Greg. I've never seen anybody who could engineer lighting a scene like Zajac. He's very terrific. And anyway, I must have made an impression on him because he let me go early, and then I worked for him for the next couple of years. So
awesome. Did Ansel Adams ever say anything about William Mortensen?
Well, he may have, but not to me.
Oh, I see.
I mean, Ansel and I were not like BFFs. Yeah. I worked for him, and I dealt with him in the dark room and at the Ansel Adams workshops, but we did not really discuss the overall philosophy of photography or other photographers at length. Because of Ansel, I met a number of wonderful photographers, but William Mortensen was not part of the conversation that I had, at least with him. So,
can you tell us about your relationship with the Westons?
Well, okay, yeah. I feel like I'm kind of dominating things here.
That's okay. We've been talking for so you're kind of late to the party. So let's hear your stories.
Okay, so when I was a kid, my dad, who was a dentist, which is why I wanted to become a dentist at one point. My dad was a dentist, and he was also a hunter. And he and a friend of his wanted to go hunting up in the Carmel area. And they ended up hiring as a guide one of Edward Weston's son, Cole Weston. And Cole became a family friend, and I knew him growing up as a child. And he also, Cole was a kind of a jack of all trades. He made photographs, but he was also a theater director, and he could build and make pretty much anything. He had a trout farm at Knott's Berry Farm back in the day.
Okay, stop.
And so anyway, you know, he and my father were pretty close friends. And Cole is how I kind of got into photography. When I graduated college, I was ready to go to dental school, and I was a few weeks away from starting dental school when I realized that I could not spend the rest of my life putting my fingers in other people's mouths. And I had always loved photography. So my dad contacted Cole and said, "Hey, what can you do?" Because I really love photography. And Cole started doing these workshops in the 1970s. So I went there and I took photography workshops from Cole Weston and Al Weber. And all of you can Google Al Weber. He is an amazing, amazing photography teacher. And based on that, that's how I met John Sexton. That's how I took the class from John Sexton. And that's how I met Brett Weston and became friends with Brett Weston. And everything just was kind of, it was just what seemed to be for my life what was supposed to be. And I have only Cole Weston and Al Weber, who has since passed. Both of them are gone now, but to thank for the fact that I had a life that was just absolutely wonderful in making pictures. God, what the heck else could I have aspired to but to making pictures? And some of you remember Bruce Hershey, who taught in our department forever. Bruce was my very first assistant in photography, and I hired him based on John Sexton's recommendation back in the day. I said, "John, I'm going to teach these classes. Who can I have as a darkroom assistant?" And he introduced me to Bruce. And Bruce and I have been friends all these years. And Bruce came to me just not so long ago and said, "You know," he always called me Mr. Johnson, which was kind of a dickish kind of thing to do, but but so I call him Mr. Hershey. He calls me Mr. Johnson. But he said, "You know, Mr. Johnson, you got to do exactly everything that you wanted to do in your life." This was a couple of years after I retired. And I said, "You know, Bruce, you're absolutely right. I got to do every day what I wanted to do. I got to make photographs. I got to talk to people about making photographs. And man, I couldn't have asked for a better time in my life." And we at Cypress College, sadly, it is not what it used to be, but we at Cypress College had a great run and a great family. And we were a great program for many, many years at Cypress College. And I'm very thankful for the faculty and the staff and also for all the many, many students who came and made themselves, I think, better photographers, yes, but also I think in many ways better people. And I'm sorry that that doesn't exist anymore, thanks to the current management. But as I've said, we had a great run, and nothing lasts forever. And I have the best memories of everything for all of the students that we've had.
Right.
And there's Gracie down in the corner. Thumbs up.
When's the last time you took a picture, Rob?
I'm sorry, what?
When's the last time you took a picture?
You know, I haven't made photographs very much in the last couple of years. I've been working on music. And I have my keyboard and my workstation, my synthesizer workstation, and that's largely what I've been working on. And of course, for the last several months, everything has been on shutdown. And because I'm in a, you know, I'm now in a very high risk group regarding COVID-19. You know,
Yeah.
I'm old and I have some pre-existing medical conditions. I just can't get out, and I miss being able to go out and make work, and hope that I will get a chance again. But I'm really enjoying making the music and playing the piano and playing all my sounds. I have a keyboard that has like 4,000 different musical instruments in it, and I can make both MIDI, which is musical instrument digital interface files, but also actual, let's say, musical sounds like MP3 sounds, those kind of files. So that's kind of what I'm working on, and I'm doing okay. And I wish, you know, anybody who ever hears this, if it gets played back, I just so much wish the best for everybody that was part of the photography program at Cypress College, both faculty and staff, and any student out there who might ever hear this. One of the best things about my life at Cypress was not just standing up in front of a class and lecturing, but was having people come in their own little kind of trail way from the studio or the darkroom to ask questions and to interact with them individually. And that was one of the best parts of my life. So.
Cool. Let's see if I can unmute.
This, I don't know, Ken. Okay.
So she's now unmuted and she points a finger.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, Rob, since I'm sorry about the reverb because we're sitting close to each other, but Rob, you play the piano, Ken plays the drums. Why don't you do a collaboration?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
You and Ken should do a collaboration.
Oh, Ken, how are we going to collaborate?
You guys can send each other music files.
Yeah, you know, I've been doing that. I've been sending, I have a studio, so I record my drums in my studio, and then I send them over WeTransfer, you know, the files to other musicians, and they put stuff on it and send it back to me. We kind of we multi-track over the internet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, that sounds great.
Yep.
I had no idea, Ken.
That's what I've been doing lately, because I can't go shoot skateboarding very much because I don't want to get sick.
Yeah, nobody really wants to get sick, do they?
No.
So, no. Well, let's hook up.
I know what the reverb is from. It's from your laptop and your speakers. It's not from me.
Okay, I got the reverb. I have a hard time understanding. I can understand myself, but I don't understand others very much. And I haven't trimmed my beard since the whole shutdown thing started, so I look like Santa Claus. But um, but no, Ken, let's talk. You know, I hope you have my email, rjimage@gmail.com, and send me something, and let's see what we can put together. That would be great. I would love that.
All right, we'll do that for sure. I'll send you some drum tracks.
Okay. Okay, cool. Because part of my synthesizer has like a bazillion drum sets, but it allows, and it also allows me to do.
Well, he muted.
Sounds good.
So what are we doing? So I'd like you to unmute.
Oh yeah,
Unmute.
I unmuted.
Okay, so Grace is unmuted, and you're in front of like a Star Trek background.
That's a freaking Thai temple.
It's what?
It's the Grand Palace in Thailand. That is the palace in Thailand.
No shit, it looks like Star Trek.
Isn't it cool?
Mine is one of my my background. I don't know how it got on there, but my background is one of the pictures of fireworks that I took on July 4th from our house in Fullerton. So
that's cool.
So anyway, Ken, I hope you're doing well, and yeah, get with me.
I will. We'll get together. We'll do a little collab.
Sounds great.
Oh, and any film questions? Because like, this is the guy to ask.
Okay, well,
Rob is the guy.
But you have to realize that I don't like film anymore. So,
Well, tell us why you don't like film then. I've been talking about why I hate film, and everyone's been trying to convince me that it's wonderful.
Okay, you're on echo here, so I don't know that she's sitting like 3 feet away from me, and I don't actually know what she's asking. Film was great when film was the thing, but film isn't the thing now. It just, you have everything in Photoshop and everything in a variety of softwares, Lightroom, Photoshop, Bridge. You have everything that those of us who started back in the day when film was the only thing, you have everything in those toolboxes that film could do, all combined, color and black and white combined, and everything now in those toolboxes is easier.
Hey, Rob. I've heard the argument of Ansel Adams used film.
Yeah, but he's been dead for, I mean, I know I work for Ansel Adams, but he's been dead since 1984. So, I mean, he's been dead since before a lot of people now were born. Great, he used film. But Ansel was a gadget guy. He loved new technology. And he, even in before he died, within a year before he died, he was like, oh my God, look at this technology. This is what's coming in photography. And he would have absolutely embraced the digital world. So he had, you know, I worked for him for a very short time, but he had every freaking gadget that you could ask for in photography. He just loved technology and he loved moving on. And I mean, he created the technology of the zone system. I mean, that was him. He didn't just say, okay, we're going to go into a dark room and develop shit. He made it so that everything was workable and predictable, and you could work with the mechanics of the day. But if he were alive today in his 100 plus years, he'd be a digital guy.
Is there
I mean, for sure, that's just how he was.
Is there any kind of a parallel between digital piano and acoustic piano?
Yeah, I mean, my synthesizer has, I don't know how many, I haven't counted them, how many different acoustic pianos built into it. I have 20 plus different piano, not just piano sounds, but actual piano instruments from Steinway to Boisendorfer and Baldwin and all sorts of different pianos, and they're all acoustic piano sounds. And the keyboard itself has a touch sensitive. My particular one has an 88 key keyboard.
It's weighted, right?
A weighted keyboard, and it feels just like playing the piano. I have a Baldwin grand piano here, which sounds beautiful, but I can match pretty much any other kind of piano with a weighted keyboard on my synthesizer, and I can engineer it so that I can create it to be exactly the sound that I want. And that's like the difference between working in film and digital in photography. I can create any freaking sound that I want to create. I have 35 or 4,000 different sounds built into the synthesizer, but I can re-engineer any of them to make the exact sound that I want.
Right.
That wasn't there when I was a kid, when I first started taking piano lessons. And I credit a woman by the name of Nanjo Hayes, who was my one of my piano teachers when I was growing up. She changed my life. She made it so that I could play piano and so that I could improvise and actually create music. She was just an absolutely amazing woman. And when my wife and I first got together, I did we did a performance at the I don't know, the Curtis, I think it's called the Curtis Theater in Brea. We did a performance there, and my parents, unbeknownst to me, brought Nanjo Hayes to that performance, and my wife is a dancer, choreographer. We did this performance, and at the end of it, my parents brought her up to me, and we had done this performance, and she I just absolutely adored her. Sadly, she's gone, but she came up and said, "Wow, that was really good, but there's still a few things I could teach you." And I thought, okay, great, Nanjo, that's great. And I just dearly love this woman because she totally changed my life. She made it so that I could make music. She taught me how to make music for the rest of my life, and I am eternally grateful to her. Anyway.
Well, I'm going to send you some tracks. I wrote a piece. I don't know how long. I have all my songs are the title of them are the date. So it's 2020. 08, 01. So I have a piece I wrote, and it's got some. I think it'd be good for you because you could just improv over it, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to send it to you with a click. So there'll be 2 tracks. One will be a click track, and then one will be the keyboards that I have. But your job is just to play over this, play to this. Do you have any way to record at all over there?
I'm
GarageBand
not.
or,
I do and I don't, but I will at some point I'll make it work, Ken.
Okay. So I'm going to send you this, and then you can just give us a listen, and you can play to it, and then work something up, and then when you get that ability to record multi-track, what you can do is just GarageBand, which is built in to your Mac. You probably already have it. Then you can record this, and I can talk to Grace about how this works technically. That's Grace, you're tech, right?
Always talk to Grace about how it works technically, because she's Grace. Long before I retired and up until now, Grace is my tech support. So
it's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send you something tonight. You give it a listen, and then see if you can do something with it.
Okay, send an email. You got my email address, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay, Ken, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go so I can update his computer.
Okay.
Update my computer right now.
Have a good evening, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, same to you, Ken, and thank you for doing this.
Oh, thanks for it was great seeing you, Rob.
Yeah, good to see you too. It's been a while.
It has.
I'm not the only one who doesn't like film. I'm just saying.
No, I like film, but I don't want to do it anymore. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay.
Before you guys
That's how
go,
I feel.
do you
I
guys
don't
have a
wanna do
couple
it.
minutes to take a look at something, Rob, with your experience and your different eye? If you could give me your quick thoughts, just like
Ooh, look, Rob, do it. A critique.
Let's
do it.
Yeah, he just wants to show you some pictures.
Oh yeah, go.
Okay, so this is not the pictures, obviously. This is my music. Since we were talking about music, I was checking what I had in there. So, Rob, with your experience and your different eye, if you could just take a few seconds on these pictures here and tell me what you think. I would really appreciate it.
No, it's
We have a speaker somewhere.
well, it's here. But okay, so that's gorgeous. That's something that back in the day we would have done with a 4x5 camera and front and back tilt and swing adjustments, and that's absolutely beautiful, and the values are just like spot on what they really should be. So that's beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate that. This was with my Minolta SRT 100 and Kodak T-Max film.
Yeah, if you have something else, send it up, show me.
Yeah, that's, I'm not sure why it's doing that for me. There's the button. Okay. Same roll of film. This is all in Virginia City.
I'm not seeing. If he sent something else up, Gracie, I'm not seeing it.
How about I do this? You'll like mine better. It'll be a second. There you go. There you go.
Let me go get rid of yours. Hold that.
Don't take my computer away.
I'm not gonna take your computer away. I'm just muting you.
So is what I'm looking at, is that the same building?
No, this is there's two different there's two different churches here in Virginia City. So the first one was the big one that everyone takes pictures of. This one here is a little bit less.
Virginia City,
famous.
like Virginia City, Nevada?
Yes.
Okay.
And I couldn't really get a good shot. There's power lines on both sides of this church. And there's an empty lot in front of it with a boarded fence around it. So I was trying to find a good angle of this church and found this knot that was hollowed out. So I decided to take it through the knot.
Well, I like the prior one better. I mean, this one has a nice frame thing to it, but I think the foreground is because it's a bit indistinct and out of focus. I think it pulls away from the impression of the building. It's a nice photograph, but I think the other one is much stronger for me anyway.
Okay.
Take care of that. Show some more pictures. I think you should show some more pictures. I used to listen to this guy for 20 years critiquing my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to try to be straightforward about things. No, this is beautiful. I think it could be overall a little bit. What did you do? What have you done, Grace?
Here we go.
Are you listening on the simulcast?
I think it could be just a little bit lighter.
Hang on. Let me take care of this.
Okay, Grace has just totally screwed up my computer. So.
Sorry, just mute me for a minute. Sorry.
Okay. Can we hear each other now?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
So this one, it's a wonderful photograph. It's a wonderful composition. I think that it could be overall a little bit lighter, but I'm looking at it on a computer screen, so I can't read the values numerically. And I'm used to looking at things digitally from 0 to 255 in terms of tones. And I think that the highlights are a little kind of muted, and it would be, I think, a little better if you stretched out the contrast a little bit and elevated those highlights. Like the cloud that's on the upper right hand side could be quite a lot brighter and still hold details.
Okay.
And then I think the picture would be a lot easier to read. I love the feeling of the flag in there, and but I think it could just be, maybe overall lighter isn't the thing. It could just have a bit more contrast, I think.
Okay. What about this one?
Yeah, well, I have a history with horses, so that it's really a cool picture. And And I think that one could maybe be the same as the last one. It would benefit from a little more contrast and a little more punch up of the highlights. A little, it would give it a greater. This is not a technical term, but a sort of greater feeling of light. But it's a wonderful photograph, and you know, horses are just these amazing animals that are in so many ways almost human-like in terms of their ability to express emotion. And this picture has, it carries that to it. So with a little more contrast, I think it would work great. It's an absolutely wonderful image.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, this the same way. It just needs a little more oomph, a little more contrast. It's a wonderful composition. I wish I owned that house.
Me too, yeah. So would you believe I got this one going about 35 miles an hour, took it out a window?
Oh, wow. Yeah, see, that's what you can do digitally. That's what I'm saying. You can make this shit happen. And it's just a beautiful, wonderful composition. I see a little bit of motion blur in the tree up on the upper right.
Yep.
But it's just a terrific composition. And and the thing, you know, I used to, when I first started, I would have had to get out of the car and put the 4x5 on a tripod and, you know, pair it up and do that. And then maybe make some adjustments later in terms of the composition in the darkroom if I didn't get it right. But I had to compose it completely as best I could, compose it completely in the viewfinder, the view camera. And now in a digital environment, you can just do that. I would probably slightly burn in the lower left-hand side where the grass or whatever is, because anything that is light, that is toward an edge or a corner, tends to be distracting in terms of a composition.
Okay.
So I would probably either recrop it digitally or just significantly burn that down. Go into Photoshop and put it on, get the burn tool and put it on highlights and burn that area down, and it would be just a wonderful composition. It's beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try and mess around with it a little bit later. What do you think of this one?
And this the same way. This is a tough one because it really has some wonderful possibilities in terms of dodge and burn. It needs more contrast, but the problem is that with it, when you give it more contrast, the dark areas are going to become less readable.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those ones where just doing basic tool adjustments in Photoshop isn't going to work. You have to go in and individually dodge and burn some of the areas because it's a really nice composition. And I think the sky could be lightened up a bit, but not very much, because then that becomes somewhat of a distraction. So it's more a matter of revealing the details in the textures of the dark areas.
Right.
And wow, I really like it. It's a wonderful photograph.
So is the editing going to be done digitally or?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, it has to be. That's the only way that you can. That's the wonderful thing about a digital environment, is that you can edit everything by pixel if you want to.
Yeah.
Which I never had any ability to do when I first started. And I remember when digital environment came on, I go, oh my God, yes, I can finally work with images the way that I hope I can. And so that's what working on this would be about, because probably if this came from a film negative, assuming that there is some detail in the lower values there, you can go in and edit those digitally in a way that we could never do with film back in the day. So
right. This one I actually I'll have to double check. This one might be if it'll load.
Can you email that to me? I'd love to try to work on it.
did you hear what Grace said?
Yeah.
Yeah, send it to her, and she can
I'll
work
have
on
to,
that
double check.
and send it back to you and give you a little different interpretation of it, because it really is a nice image. So
Yeah, for sure. If you want to just Ken, do you have her email address? You can just text it to me.
Yeah, or Grace, can you just send them the email on the chat right now?
I'll tell everyone who's watching this what my email address is. It is Pinlux, PINLUX at AOL.com.
And who the hell ever knew that AOL still exists?
You've got mail.
AOL.
If it makes you feel better, you can also send it to Hotmail, Gmail, and Yahoo. Pinlux, PINLUX at Hotmail, Gmail, AOL, or whatever.
Did you hear that, everybody? Did you hear that, internet?
You're going to be getting stuff from now China.
Yeah, right. All
okay.
these spams.
I'm part Chinese.
You're going to be getting stuff from Xi Jinping. Oh, this is wonderful. I love this. I think overall, it's, again, this is how I'm seeing it on the computer. So
yeah, it's hard, especially with I actually have two monitors now. I have my laptop monitor and then a second one. And I also look at pictures a lot when I'm done with it on one screen. I'll look at it on the other two. And it is kind of difficult to get something that balances, because each screen does show slightly differently.
But this is, I would view this the same as the others. You can, in black and white, you can push the high values right up to the limit, particularly in a digital environment, so that they're very bright and very clear, but that they also retain detail. And that's kind of the direction that you want to go, I think, with a lot of these images. They're just a little, it's a wonderful composition. I love the picture, but it needs to be pushed in terms of, let's take the highlights as far as they can go. In terms of when I came up, it was, I grew up with this, what Ansel created was the zone system, and the zone system was zone 0 up to 09, and 0 and up to 9 was an absolute white, no detail. But an 8 was what was called really close to that, but it still retained a a bit of texture and detail. And one of the things that Photoshop allows you to do is to adjust the low values and the middle tones and the highlights individually, which we couldn't do back in the day, but now you can.
Yeah.
And so you could pull up on this image, you could pull up the middle values a little bit, but you could also pull up the highlights to the point where they still retain detail. And it creates what we used to call back in the day just a feeling of light. If you kind of push the edge of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to find the raw file and play around with this one too. The highlights on especially on the post are almost to the point of being washed out when I actually took it. So it'll be interesting to play around with in the editor.
Yeah, and that's kind of, you know, when I first started, seeing those highlights was part of setting your exposure,
right,
and coupling your exposure with development, developing the film, and then making the print. And those principles still apply. You know, you kind of have to look, even in a digital environment, you have to look at what the numerical values are of the highlights. And yeah, the old adage used to be expose for the shadows, develop for the highlights.
Right.
And you could adjust the development up and down so that you could maintain detail there and not lose the texture.
Yeah.
And at the one that I'm looking at now, it's kind of the same overall thing. It needs it needs for the middle values to be more enhanced and revealed without pushing the high values over the top. And that's something that you can not with great difficulty do within Photoshop.
Yeah. I haven't had the budget to get into to Photoshop. I might see if they have a trial going and test it out. I do. This is actually a much older picture. I think I took this in 2015 or 16 with a really cheap, just a glorified point and shoot, if you will. It was a step or two below an SLR at the time.
Well, it's a wonderful composition, and I really like Photoshop, but Adobe is like $9 or $10 a month, and you have the entire creative suite of Photoshop and Lightroom and Bridge,
yeah,
plus other software. So if you can afford $10 a month, go for it, because it automatically updates to the newest version anytime there's an update, which is what Grace is going to help me with today.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this one because it had the frozen lake with the tracks on it, so I actually got the sweeping leading line into the scene. And this
well,
was
those things need to be, and maybe if I can make it bigger on my computer, I would see it. But those things, those gray areas need to be individually increased in terms of contrast. And they can still have the feeling of the ice, but the overall texture needs to be increased. And one of the things you see it because you made it and you know what it is. You always have to think about if you're going to make photographs for other people to look at, you have to think about what do I want them to see, and then how do I make that communicate to them. Otherwise, they're not going to know what to look at.
Right.
And that's, you see it because it's your photograph, but I would not necessarily see it unless you make it obvious to me. And that's kind of what you need to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really nice. I love fog and mists. Grace knows that. So yeah, that's beautiful, but that also could use an increase in contrast, and you can up the contrast and emphasize the mist more, and then go in and burn down the sky so that it still has the overall feeling to it. But that's a beautiful image. Very nice.
Yeah, I went through the archives and I found some of these older pictures that I just looked at and I'm like, okay, that actually looks okay. It was I believe it was 12.1 megapixel point and shoot camera that had a 20 times optical zoom. I think this one here was also using digital zoom on that.
Yeah, same thing overall. As I'm looking at these pictures, you need to increase the contrast, and you need to find a way to reveal more tone and texture in the dark areas. Your eye, you have a really good eye for making pictures. A lot of it is kind of the post processing.
Right.
And I remember back when I first started in photography, I always wanted to make art, and I love landscape, and that was where I went. But a lot of the clients that I worked for back in the day, part of making those photographs was not just the exposure, but it was the post processing. And I even had a client back in the day called Complete Post, and they were about they were a television people, but they were about post processing the picture to make it visually appealing.
Right.
Maybe the battery went out.
Uh-oh.
Well, that was cool to see him. He was the head of our photo department, Cypress, the college that most of us know each other from.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. How about for you, Ken? Is it showing up are you having similar thoughts when you're seeing on your screens, or because I know it's different on almost every screen a little bit, but
I mean, I can see what Rob's saying. I mean, the thing about Rob is that he sees things that I don't see.
yeah, that's why I like getting everyone's opinion, especially when they've been in the game for so long and have so much experience.
That's him. That's not me.
You have more experience than I do, I think, though.
But he once helped me make a print, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I swear to you, I've never made a print like that, and I don't know how he did it.
Yeah.
Again, he'll push this stuff, as he calls it, the digital toolbox. He'll push it to a level that I don't know how he's doing that. I even saved some of his things he told me to do. I saved some of these numbers that he gave me, and I tried to apply them to other things. But like any good artist, he just has it. He has that ability to, like when he's talking about the high contrast stuff. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm thinking, wow, I'm gonna have to go back and look at my stuff. Like, could I have pushed it a little further? He can. This guy can make a picture pop. That's the thing about Rob. I mean, he's got an eye. He's just got he's a master. He's a master at this. So, I think he's muted too.
Yeah, he's still muted. We'll give him a minute to.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm back on my computer, and my screen is different than Grace's. I was looking at it on Grace's screen. So this is this is pretty good. Again, you have a really good eye in terms of composition. I would probably change the crop a little bit, but I would try to elevate some of the values in the lower area to get a little bit more detail and texture in all of those trees. I would still try to keep the mountains the same as I could, and then I would burn down, in terms of, if I were going to make a print of this, I would burn down a little bit the upper right hand corner and quite a bit the upper left hand corner, and the entire, say, top half of the picture, so that you place the emphasis visually on those snow-capped peaks. And everything, everything is designed in terms of, what do you want people to look at in the picture that you made? What's the most important part of the picture? So now, as I'm seeing it, I'm seeing the upper left and the upper right seem to have been dropped down, but I would burn in probably everything from the top of that mountain down a little bit, and then I would go back and dodge a little bit those lighter clouds that are sort of toward the center. I remember one of the things that Ansel taught me was that things are not about taking pictures. You don't take pictures, you make photographs.
Right.
And so what you do when you made the exposure, what that was just the beginning, and the rest of it is processing it, post-processing it, making it, you make it into the picture that you want to communicate with people. And so there is, and that was part of Ansel's deal, was this sort of pre-visualization of, okay, this is what I see, but the photograph that I want is the equivalent of what I saw. And then when I put it in front of people, it's what I saw and what I felt.
Right.
Hey, can you tell them the story of Moonrise? Because you saw Moonrise in its first iteration versus what is widely seen today.
Yeah, I saw a whole variety of Moonrise pictures.
Really?
Yeah. And there was only one negative, because that was the exact epitome of what it's like to deal with, there's the light and I got to make a picture, because within a few seconds of when that exposure was made, the light was gone, and it could never have been done again. But the sky in Moonrise Hernandez was actually quite light, and it looks like in the final version, it looks like it's very, dark with the clouds. But that isn't literally the way the exposure was. The exposure was done so that he captured the light on the gravestones and that, and he exposed it for the detail in the moon, but the sky was still quite bright, and so he went back and over a number of years, he changed it. He worked on the image and made it into the darker version that it is, that almost that near the very dark gray, near black sky. That isn't literally anywhere near what it was at the time. And I remember seeing a print in the darkroom sink that had been sitting there from Moonrise. I remember seeing it in the sink, and I don't know how long it had been sitting there. It just been ages it had been sitting there, and it looked like it had bubbles and all over shit all over it. And Ansel, he just left it there for whatever reason, and I wish that I could put it up on the screen for you guys because it was a pretty wild looking image. But he called it Holocaust over Hernandez because of what the chemicals had done to it in the sink, in the dark over the years. It was just wild looking. Holocaust over him, not Moonrise, but Holocaust over Hernandez. And he had that about him, but you have to view a picture that you make in terms of how it's going to communicate to other people. You can really, really like it, but how is that going to communicate what you saw and what you felt? That's the goal. Communicate what you saw and felt at that moment. How do you communicate that to other people?
That level of communication, how do you develop that? What's a way to go about that?
Boy, a friend of mine, Ken, I don't know if you know him. His name is Bob Neese. Bob and I started in photography together. We went to high school together. We met actually in that very first class with. We met again after high school in that very first class with John Sexton, and Bob asked me at one point, I don't know how he put it. He said, he asked me, how did you know you had it? How did you know you could do this? And I pointed to one photograph that I had made off of the front porch of my parents' house of looking straight down of muddy water in a flower bed, and I made this print, and I said that print told me. I worked on it according to all the directions that I had from Ansel's books and everything that I could read and what I got from Sexton. And that print was exactly what I thought it would be, and was the first one that I was able to make. And I said, that's when I knew. So I can't give you a technical thing that says, how to do it. I remember we took students to Brett Weston's house back in the day, and one of the students asked him, because Brett was also a master printer, and one of the students asked him that I remember this specific question: how do you get those beautiful silvery tones in your prints? And they wanted some sort of technical answer to that, and I understood that's what they wanted, was how can I do that? How can I do that? And Brett gave the best answer that I could ever have understood, and that was, and I'll do my best Brett Weston imitation here, because the Westons had kind of a certain way of speaking. Brett just said, "Well, that's just the way I see it," and that was it. I mean, there isn't a technical explanation. It's just your own personal vision and what you want to express, and finding a way to make that available to other people.
Right. Right.
This
one last one here for you, Rob. One last impression.
I would just say, you know, making photographs is a very kind of dynamic thing, and there are photographs that you can put a camera on a tripod and frame and control every little thing about, and there are other photographs that are sort of once in a moment pictures, and this is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I mean, it's really nice. I would say, in general, when you make photographs, I don't know what kind of lens you had on here. I don't know what focal length you had. The composition works pretty well, I think. But I would try to make this, and this comes from where I was trained, so it's don't take this like gospel. But I would try to make a photograph like this at the smallest possible lens opening that I could. So if I can get to f/22, say on a digital camera, some lenses will go even to f/32. That way you make the tree and the branches that are in the foreground more sharp and more clear, and so they will, in a way, more effectively frame the little duck there. Ansel was part of a group way back in the day, long before I was even born, called the group F64, which was, you know, put the camera on a tripod and get it to the smallest lens opening you can, so that you keep everything in focus from near to far. And that was based on a philosophy that's one of the things that photography can do. It can control that focus. And prior to Ansel and prior to Edward Weston, there was a tradition in photography it was called kind of romantic photography, where certain things were kept out of focus. But with Group F64, Ansel and Edward and later his sons Brett and Cole, really kind of functioned on the fact that we can make things in a camera in focus that no one else really can. And so why not do that? And that became a philosophy. And I think in terms of that picture, it would benefit from that being made sharp and clear, and it being sharp and clear would not in any way distract from the duck in the water. It would actually more effectively frame it visually. For me, when things are out of focus, they become kind of a distraction. But I realize that it isn't always possible to have every freaking thing in your picture in focus. And there are certain moments that that benefit from being caught. And there are others where, oh, you see something that's wonderful, but you can't make it an effective photograph. It just is not technically available to you. And at that point, you need to make the decision to go, yep, I saw that, but it won't make a wonderful photograph. And I need to move on, and I need to find something that will make a wonderful photograph.
Yeah.
So I hope that's helpful to you. I don't mean to be, you know, in any way, what would I say, off-putting, but.
No, not at all. I mean, I love to get people's opinions and how they would approach things, for sure. I appreciate your input.
Grace is on my front porch.
I am. I just figured this way there's no reverb. Although now I hear the garbage truck.
Well, let's wrap it up. You know, it was great to see you guys, and hope, you know, one of these days we'll have to do a thing with Rob, you know, where maybe he could look at different photographs, photographers' pictures, and you know, maybe you know, like two from each photographer.
I
would love that.
Ken. That would be great. I would love to do it, and I would look forward to do it. And I really respect your willingness and your ability to put these things together. I appreciate it very much.
I'm happy to do it. So, you know, Grace, you have to fix Rob's computer.
Yes, I do. I'm going to go do that. We might be eating Indian food first, but I would also like a day. Yeah, I would like to have a day where like people send in photos and like I try to edit them for the way I would like to do it or something like that.
Yeah, that would a live edit.
That would be absolutely terrific.
Yeah,
So,
live edits are a
do it.
lot of fun to watch, so that I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That sounds fun.
That would be great.
All right. Have a good rest of your evening, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye. I'll see you up